ये भी कहूँगा कि उस समय में शुक्रवार आया, मुसलमानों की इबादत का दिन है, पर कुछ षड्यंत्रकारियों ने जिनके और संकेत जानकारियों से पाकिस्तान, तालिबान और ऐसे कुछ अंदरूनी और बाह्य ताकतों की तरफ जा रहे हैं, उन्होंने नौजवानों को उकसाकर पहले से तैयार करवाकर अकस्मात हिंसा नहीं भड़की और उस शुक्रवार को पत्थरवार में बदल दिया है। और हमने मुसलमानों को अपील की है कि अब आपके सामने एक चुनौती है कि आप अपने शुक्रवार को पत्थरवार की बजाय और मोहब्बत वार में बदलने का काम करिए।
अगर कोई हमारे हुजूर की शान में गुस्ताखी करेगा तो हम उसकी गुस्ताखी को कतई बर्दाश्त नहीं करेंगे। गुस्ताख रसूल की एक सजा, गुस्ताख रसूल की एक सजा, गुस्ताख रसूल की एक सजा, गुस्ताख रसूल की एक सजा। आका की नानी पर मैंने अपने सर भी कटवाने को कभी मेरे भाइयों, लेकिन हमारे अजमेर के भाई जो हिंदू भाई हैं वो तो हमारे साथ, हम किसके खिलाफ खड़े हो, हम किसको खिलाफ हैं? गरीब औरत है जिसने हमारे आगे शान में गुस्ताखी करी, उसको नीति शर्मा को जीने का कोई हक नहीं है।
Several such provocative statements were made and the impact was felt across the country. On June 10th, in multiple places across the country, this expression of anger of the country, and that is worrying. But there are voices from within the community that have condemned this cycle of hate, called for calm and backed Indresh Kumar's comments against practices that he himself has described as un-Islamic.
उनके अल्फाज 100% सही हैं। मैं उनके तमाम ही इस बयान की तायद करता हूं, समर्थन करता हूं और मुल्क के अंदर अमन व शांति के लिए, भाईचारे के लिए और मुल्क को ताकतवर और मजबूत बनाने के लिए इंद्रेश जी की इन तमाम बातों के ऊपर अमल करने की ज़रूरत है। शुक्रवार जो है मुसलमानों का हमारा एक इबादत का दिन होता है। इसके अंदर जुमे की नमाज अदा की जाती है। जुमे की नमाज अदा करने के बाद में तमाम ही दुनिया के मुसलमानों और ख़ास कर अहले वतन और अपने मुल्क की सलामती के लिए, भाईचारे के लिए, अमन व अमान के लिए और परेशान हाल लोगों के लिए दुआएं की जाती हैं।
Well, the onus is now on those who rationalize this violence as a genuine expression of hurt sentiments to withdraw their remarks that provide cover fire to this Friday fury.
This is nothing but another form of abusing the Muslims and minorities. Why to discriminate, why to spread hatred and abuse against one particular community?
एक मरतबा शायद ऐसा वाक़या हुआ होगा कि जुमे की नमाज के बाद पत्थरबाजी हुई। उसके बाद भी हम लोगों ने सबने बयान दी, मेरा भी बयान आया और भी उलमा के बयान आया कि भाई पीसफुली जाए और नमाज पढ़ के पीसफुली वापस आए। उसका बहुत असर हुआ। उसके बाद से कोई भी पत्थरबाजी नहीं हुई है। ये एक आध बार का वाक़या हुआ था जिसको सख्ती से रोक दिया गया, लिहाजा अब उसके बाद से कोई ऐसा वाक़या नहीं हुआ है। ये लिहाजा ये बयान बिल्कुल गलत और झूठा है।
ये आरएसएस बीजेपी के लोग यही तो नफरत का जहर बो रहे हैं देश में। ऐसे लोगों पर तो कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए। और ठीक ही कहा, अभी तो नुपुर शर्मा जी का विवाद शांत भी नहीं हुआ है कि तरह तरह से होड़ लगी हुई है। कैसे अपमानित किया जाए एक दूसरे के धर्मों को।
Let's open this up and go across to our guests. Tonight we're joined by authors Dr. Anand Ranganathan and Ratan Sharda. We have political analysts Majid Haidri, Tehseen Poonawala here in the studio with us. And we also have Sajid Supariwala, leader of the Shiv Sena. Good evening to all of you. Majid Haidri, don't you agree with Indresh Kumar that Fridays should be for prayers and not patharbazi?
Well, Swati Saiba, it becomes very important for the nation to know that what Islam wants Muslims to do on Friday, exactly after the Friday prayers, because Friday has been synonymous with law and order problem for quite some time. In Quran chapter 62, verse number 10, Allah commands the Muslims that once the Friday prayers is over, spread in the land and seek Allah's bounty, which is livelihood. And remember Allah more and more so that you may prosper. Now, Allah nowhere instructs Muslims to go for any kind of violence after Friday prayer. So let's exonerate the religion from this. Now, second point. How will RSS feel offended if I say that Ram Navami or Navratra days bring a law and order problem for my taste buds? Do I not have a right to eat tangri kebab? Is that not my fundamental right? Why is that infringed during Navratra days? But I won't bring religion into that. Because we respect each other's religions. So
but if faith is being weaponized, but if faith is being weaponized, you have every right to ask that question. You have every right to ask the question to the administration, to the authorities, to the government to look into the law and order problem.
No, see, why do you correlate a religious activity with law and order? I said if I correlate Navratra with violence, what will you say? If I relate Ram Navami with violence, what will you say? It will offend the other community. Let's not talk about things which get...
No, the problem is that you're looking at religion as the big factor. No, the problem is that you're looking at religion as the big factor. The other perspective is that religion is being used to create law and order problem, and that is maligning the community, and that is maligning the religion. So Tehseen Poonawalla, shouldn't such elements be identified? What has Indresh Kumar said? He said there are some people who are using Friday, which is a day for prayers, for patharbazi. They are maligning the entire community. They should be identified and punished.
If patharbazi is still on, then by that logic, the promise of the Honorable Prime Minister that demonetization would end stone pelting is failed, so the Prime Minister has failed. But that's not the debate for today. Let's talk about what Indresh Kumar ji said and what is being debated today. I've been absolutely clear on times now. Any provocative slogan, whether Sar Tan Se Juda or Desh ke Gaddaron ko goli maro, should be charged under terror laws and should be investigated under terror laws. There was a beheading in Udaipur. The Rajasthan government not just charged those people under UAPA. Which agency came to defend those people? The NIA, they said there is no terror link. Why is the central agency trying to save those people? Second part about it, the people accused of beheading, now the investigation on, seems to have some link to the Bharatiya Janata Party. Why is it that the Bharatiya Janata Party wants to distract attention from everything and from an ongoing investigation? Why isn't the investigation going on? Third, there was a beheading in Amravati. Those people who were behind the beheading in Amravati again have photos campaigning for the MP and the MLA who are now close to the Bharatiya Janata Party. Their Facebook posts still speak about it. Why is the Bharatiya Janata Party interested in defending them and making this a religious issue? Terror has no religion. Whatever your religion is, punish it. I am saying so that Nupur Sharma, whatever the law deals with her, you cannot punish her. There cannot be mob justice.
So how different is what you are saying from what Indresh Kumar said?
Because I am saying, and here's the challenge, I am saying that Sar Tan Se Juda aur Desh ke Gaddaron ko goli maro should be punished under terror laws.
He's saying the same thing.
You ask Satan Chadha ji if he says that Desh ke Gaddaron ko Sar Tan Se Juda is same, he'll say no.
That Sar Tan Se Juda chants are unconstitutional, they are un-Islamic.
As is Desh ke Gaddaron ko, but the people who chanted Desh ke Gaddaron ko, goli maro, have been promoted.
So did he make that statement to divert attention from the BJP links? Is that what you're concluding?
The BJP is trying to save people in Ajmer and in Udaipur and Amravati. Is that the case? If that is not the case, then the BJP should come out and let the investigation take place.
But isn't that a separate issue? Isn't that a separate issue? I'm asking you a question.
He spoke about Udaipur.
Specifically to what? Isn't that linked?
Of course it is.
Sar Tan Se Juda chants made?
And the pictures that are there. And who are these people? Who are these people who are indulging, in my opinion, this act of terror?
So then how is it saying that such provocative elements need to be identified and punished, derailing the investigation?
They have to be identified and punished. And
so
the only people derailing it is the BJP or people supporting them. Why are they derailing it? That is the question that we need to go into.
Okay,
because UAP has been put on them. Who is derailing it? Why did NIA not refuse to get the Pakistan link?
That is the question. Two separate issues.
It's not.
You're drawing a very interesting link to it. I want to bring in Dr. Anand Ranganathan. Your response to this link, and also the fact that Indresh Kumar said identify these elements within the community. Is it not a fact, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, that on 10th of June across the country after Friday prayers we saw a mass gathering and those chanting of slogans slowly turning into aggressive violent acts? Stones were pelted, policemen were injured, and the most unfortunate part is that in several videos we saw little children being used for stone pelting.
Absolutely. Good evening and my esteemed panelists. I think I must
applaud the Muslim cleric, Swati, in your report, who not only agreed with the RSS gentleman, he in fact was very emphatic about what the RSS person said, and he completely wholeheartedly not only agreed, he said yes, this should be done. Now, if a Muslim cleric is agreeing with an RSS man, that itself tells you something, that the RSS person is on the right track. And let me tell you, the last 3 or 4 years, if at all, someone has not been very critical when they should be of what has been going on, it is the RSS. First, by saying that the Muslims have the same DNA symbolically or whatever you may like. In fact, there are Muslims who need to go much more critical than what the RSS has been, and I'm glad the Maulana has. I'll give you 2 reasons for this. What is happening right now increasingly in India, Swati, has been happening in Kashmir for too long.
Yes.
It is another matter that because of propaganda by the leftists and Islamists, they have somehow detached the happenings of Kashmir as though they are no longer meant to be happening in India. So what happens in Kashmir is altogether considered as something separate. It's almost like another nation. कि वहाँ पे communal bigotry, वहाँ पे ये stone pelting, उसकी बातें ही मत करो, because वो कश्मीर है, India नहीं है. The problem is that this happens regularly. It has been normalized after Friday fairs. You yourself have told about how ISIS flags have been unfurled, how in the Srinagar main mosque, ISIS flags were actually unfurled inside the mosque after Friday fairs. Stone pelting is a regular occurrence. And my good friend Mr. Majid Haidri has been saying that how would you feel if I were to say that, after Ram Navami, there is a correlation with violence? He is absolutely right. There was correlation with violence in Ram Navami. Ram Navami processions were pelted with stones, and by Muslim mobs. So there is a correlation. Problem is, many Muslims have now started to recognize it. They don't want this to be normalized because it is not good for their own image as well as the image of the nation. So when Muslim clerics are recognizing it, why aren't other Muslims? I'll tell you why. Because the Muslim moderates are the ones who are embarrassed.
What is so funny,
They are
Majid
the ones who
Haidri?
want to cushion the extremism.
No, what is so funny, Majid Haidri? Didn't you hear Asad Kasmi?
No,
Is he not a Muslim? Is he not from the community?
Madam, my very good friend and very learned scholar, Dr. Arun Nagarajan, is forgetting what Honorable Supreme Court has observed about that woman. I won't name her, about that woman. Anand Raghunathan ji kindly enlighten the nation on what Honorable Supreme Court remarked about that. What were the observations? Because पंच के मुंह से परमेश्वर बोलता है. नहीं सुनिए, पंच के मुंह से परमेश्वर बोलता है. तो परमेश्वर ने क्या कहा देश को बताइए.
You took my name, Majid Bhai, with all due respect. We are having a wonderful discussion out here without any raised voices. So you took my name. Can I please respond to you? Swati, can I please respond?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, so I was absolutely outraged, as many were, about the utterances of Supreme Court. As you know, as many as 150 odd ex-judges of the court, High Court and Supreme Court have expressed their outrage at the verbal outrage of the Supreme Court that did not go into the written order. So that's a different matter. I'm outraged.
Yes.
But I'm amused by Mr. Majid Haidri, who, in the wake of a Supreme Court judgment, said Sharia is above the Supreme Court on October 14, 2017. Let him deny this. Mr. Majid Haidri said Sharia is above the Supreme Court, and today he is siding with the Supreme Court.
Okay, Majid Haidri, let's bring the attention back to the issue at hand, and we also have Javed Beg sir. I'll come to you to throw more light on the incidences that Dr. Anand Ranganathan spoke about, a trend, a pattern of Friday violence that was witnessed in Jammu and Kashmir, which people now say, according to reports and developments, as a decline in terms of stone pelting. But I want to go across to Sajid Supariwala. Sajid Supariwala, shouldn't such elements be identified? Aren't they maligning the community? What is wrong in that statement?
I will tell you one simple thing without losing a point which is very valid. I'm not an Islamic scholar, but I definitely, as a Muslim, it's my responsibility to definitely come to a conclusion. Mr. Tehsin Pulawala said what he wanted to say. Even I have some things. It's a very beautiful line which you all will agree with me. This will end the argument if need be, inshallah. I'm praying that it ends this argument. First and foremost, why is it called Jummah? Jummah is called it was a call given by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may peace be upon him, that Jummah you gather along with every Muslim and try to pray to the Almighty and spread love, brotherhood all around. So Jummah means Friday, which is a day which is auspicious. It is not supposed to be pelting stones or anything. Whoever has said hatred and violent things should definitely be taken task of. But at the same time, I would like to mention something which is from the Holy Quran. It is that very general it is. Mr. Tehsin Punawara and everybody who's knowing little bit Quran, and my other friend, I forgot his name, they will definitely agree with him that God, means Allah, is called Rabbul Alameen, means He is the God for the universe, not only for the Muslims. So God is only one. This point proves it. But at the same time, we have been discussing all these things. Nupur Sharma or whoever has said certain things. I do not want to get into that argument. But all I can say is that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him, itself is called Rahmatul lil Alameen. That means mercy for the universe, not only for the Muslims. So this proves that Islam is a religion of peace. It
but nobody is questioning
unnecessarily
that. Nobody is questioning that.
10 seconds.
One second.
No, I'm coming to my point. See, I'm very calmly coming to my point.
Supariwala ji, suniye.
No, I'm coming to your point. Swati ji, it is my, see, if I'm coming, Swati ji, just let me complete the sentence. You will know why I'm talking about this. Let me complete the sentence, no please.
Sure.
If you have given me time, I'll calmly complete it. I will not even lose my temper. My other brothers also there with me.
Nobody is losing their temper on debates. Go ahead.
I'm very calmly telling you everything. No, I will explain to you. I'll explain to you what happens when you lose tempers. See, gussa is haram in Islam also. So if you do gussa, that means if you get angry, you will definitely make wrong statements. I want to just tell you that extremism is not allowed in Islam. Extremism is not the name of Islam, and terrorism, always I have said that terrorism has no religion. Whoever is a terrorist is having no religion, be it a Muslim, be it a non-Muslim. What we are talking about here is about Friday. Friday is what I explained to you. I'm again repeating myself, that Friday is a day when you need to ask God for the universe, not only for yourself. Peace, brotherhood is what is required, not pelting stones.
Swati, can I please?
हाँ, but इंद्रेश कुमार जी जो कह रहे हैं ना, एक पर्टिकुलर कम्युनिटी के बारे में बात हो रही है,
तो उसमें फर्क क्या है जो वो कह रहे हैं और आप कह रहे हैं?
It is not allowed. It is not allowed. Not only it's a responsibility of all humans to spread brotherhood and love. Be it any religion, no religion preaches hatred.
So Mr. Supariwala, you agree with
I agree at a point. If people are generalizing, that Friday, if people generalize that Friday is a pelting stone day, I'm against that statement.
He spoke about a specific incident.
Whoever it is, see, I'm talking with a very open mind here.
He spoke about a specific incident. And what was witnessed on the 10th of June,
but of course, I condemn the stone pelting. I condemn the stone pelting.
Okay, you condemn stone
I
pelting
myself,
and you
with
agree
responsibility, am saying
point taken.
as a Muslim,
point taken, Dr. Anand Rangaratan and then Ratan Sharma.
I condemn the stone pelting. Let proper law be enforced on everything, not only this incident.
He's taken my name a couple
of times. After Dr.
Rangaratan. Swati, Swati, just 2 points. Thank you very much. Swati, just 2 points, and it's been a very wonderful, very tempered discussion. So I'm sure Supariwala Bhai will not mind because he's quoted Quran. Let me also quote Quran, because one must have balance. One must not be supremacist or exclusivist if one goes to the extent of saying that there is only one God. Let me also quote from the same Quran. Now, I know the accusations would be that, look, you are not supposed to quote Quran or you're quoting out of context, but let me, because you have quoted Quran, let me also quote Quran. No one has the right to be worshipped but Allah, 40:62. Those who deny the Quran, their necks will be shackled, 40:70 to 72. Polytheists, i.e. Hindus, are the worst of creatures, 98:6. Fight against those who do not believe in Allah and who do not adopt Islam. Fight them until they give the jizya.
Okay, I have to come in here because I am not an expert.
Now you see how
I am not an expert when it comes to. Okay, I am not an expert when it comes to Quran. Okay, yes.
Islamic scholar.
Okay, one second. Let's come back to the debate.
I did not interrupt when they were quoting Quran. Now why are they interrupting when I am quoting Quran?
No, but you are not an Islamic scholar. Some other day. Any religious book
believe in our
Okay, one second, gentlemen, calm down. Okay, gentlemen, 1 second, calm down. Let me bring in another point. Just a second, Tehsin Punawala. Ratan Sharda hasn't spoken. It's 8:14. Ratan Sharda, Mr. Majid Hydari raised a very important point and valid to an extent. He said, how would you feel if I talk about violence on Ram Navami celebrations? There's another issue which is also being raised in questions about the provocative and hate speeches that were made at Dharam Sansad. So why isn't somebody saying that there are elements within the Hindu community who are maligning the entire religion? They should be identified and they should be punished. Why only talk about the provocative elements or statements that are made by individuals of a particular community? How do you respond?
Well, I like the version, Majid Hydari version 2.0. He speaks like Zakir Naik now. You have Sajid who has been spouting Quran and spouting all the goodwill. I would rather have a Tehseen Poonawala upfront telling what is wrong with me or with him rather than trying to play around with words like terror is no religion. Sorry, the people who perpetrate terror clearly say that is a religion. Now, these people should have courage to say, okay, they have a religion, we don't agree with the kind of interpretation they do for the religion. As far as the Indresh is concerned, 2008, 2010, Congress had tried to implicate in terror activities because he was trying to bring Muslims to the mainstream and stop the extremism in Muslim society and bring them closer to the mainstream. And he was made a terror accused. Mr. Indresh is getting all kinds of abuses across India with Hindus or Hindus for trying to bring the Hindu communities together and trying to tell them that you cannot be pattharbaz, you have to be a namazbaz. And for that he is being abused. What is wrong with that? And can we really, we talked about Ram Navami, Ram Navami violence was done by people from the mosque. They were thrown stones at them. And every time the entire Navratri happened, during Tiranga Yatra it happened. So don't tell me that Ram Navami people created riots. They don't. If Hindus start creating riots,
what about the hate speeches that were made during the
TV channels today? So let us not abuse Hindus despite being peaceful and tolerant and respectful to others.
That is exactly what Indresh Kumar said. It's not about maligning religions or maligning individuals who follow a faith or community.
You have to own up.
It's about identifying the elements within the community.
I have commented. Give me 30 seconds, please. To use Mr. Raghavan, Mr. Anand's word, give me 30 seconds. Don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. Tehseen was saying that, what about BJP people who are involved in, please catch them, hang them. But tell me, what did Congress do? The hijackers during Indira Gandhi's time got MLA tickets, MP tickets for years together. You had, Boti Boti Masood being facilitated by Congress, by Samajwadi Party. So please come out of that and don't try to point fingers. Let us try to solve the problem and let us understand what Mr. Indresh says and how we should come out and say what is done is done. Let us move ahead. And I'm not going back to Shaheen Bagh when Hindus were, insulted. I'm not going to hijab and a uniform was created an international scenario. I'm not going to Rupa Sharma, Gyan Vapi. I'm saying as of today, are we ready to own up the people? And she talks of Dharam Sansad, no? Has RSS, BHP, anybody supported them?
Okay.
No.
Okay, you're saying we are not supporting such provocative statements made during the Dharam Sansad. Quick rebuttal coming in from Tehseen Poonawala.
Ratanji's words, and I quote him verbatim, he says, what is done, done. Now let's think about the future ahead. The future ahead against mob violence, whether it is A religion, B religion, gender neutral, etc. Supreme Court in my case ordered specific laws to be made for mob violence. Why has the Honorable Home Minister not passed them in Parliament? He got up in Parliament and said he won't pass them. I went to the Home Secretary personally. He refused to pass them. States that have passed mob violence bills, the governor does not sign them. Why? Who's benefiting from this mob violence? Sir, one second, please don't interrupt me. Sir, please, it's a request. The fact is, I am on, sir, one second, sir. It's very important. Don't interrupt me. You can rebut me afterwards.
I am on the point.
Sir, 1 minute, sir. I am on national TV saying, Nupur, whatever is her legal status, no one has a right to attack her. It is our duty to protect her. It is the state's duty to protect her. Anyone thinks that Tansi Juda should be charged under terror laws. Why is nobody saying, why is the government of India not prosecuting those who say Desh ke Gaddaro ko goli mare? Because the BJP has a vested interest in mob violence. That's BJP all I am saying. They have a vested interest in mob violence.
I'll take responses and I'll go across to Javed Beg as well. I'm sorry to keep you waiting, sir. We have some breaking inputs coming in. Sarwar Chishti is present at the Peace March and the Sadbhavna farce is now being exposed. Those are visuals on your screens of the Peace Rally, the Peace March. Sarwar Chishti, who first provoked people by giving statements that could hurt sentiments and invoke people and invoke violence is now part of the peace march. Javed Beg, reference was made to Friday violence that was witnessed in Jammu Kashmir, और आपने खुद वहां पर उस वक्त उस हालात को देखा होगा, and how Friday prayers is used as an occasion to brainwash people and to mislead them. If you could throw more light on this, क्या इसमें सच्चाई है या नहीं? Okay, before that, I'm sorry, we have Bhavar joining us on the broadcast. Bhavar, पहले लोगों को भड़काएंगे, उसके बाद पीस मार्च में, पीस रैली में शामिल होकर के अब क्या साबित करना चाहते हैं? लीगल एक्शन से बचने के लिए सब कुछ हो रहा है? Okay, I think we don't have Bhavar with us on the line. We are trying and connecting with him to get more details. But after देश को हिला देंगे comment of Sarwar Chishti, he was seen at the peace rally. पहले देश को हिला देने की बातें, and now he's part of the peace rally. Okay, let's go back to our guest. Javed Beg, जम्मू कश्मीर में क्या हुआ था, उस पर अगर आप अपनी बात रख सकें.
बिल्कुल, I
Javed Beg sahab, can you hear me? Okay, unfortunately we've lost that line, and I'm sorry to keep you waiting, and after that now this technical problem, but we'll try and connect with him again to get his views on what happened in Jammu and Kashmir. Dr. Anand Ranganathan wants to come in. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Yes, very brief point. I applaud Tehseen when he says that those who are chanting Gustakhe Rasool ki ek hi saza sar tan se juda should be prosecuted. I think that's the bare minimum the state can start doing, because coming after Friday prayers, immediately after Friday prayers, and Mr. Supariwala is absolutely right, the Quran does not preach violence immediately after Friday prayers. It doesn't. So when people turn violent and in their thousands they start chanting Gustakhe Rasool ki ek hi saza sar tan se juda, I think it is absolutely incumbent upon the state to maybe give a serious thought to what Tehseen is saying. That was my limited thought.
Okay, Majid Haidri.
I thank Tehseen for saying that.
Thank you.
Majid Haidri.
On the
Qazi Sahib, I have a very humble question.
there are enough laws to punish the people.
Sir, we Muslims are forbidden from consuming alcohol, but we don't stop anybody from consuming alcohol. Why am I stopped from eating non-veg during Navratra when it's my fundamental right? The constitution guarantees me. So how come an extrajudicial authority on the secular constitution of the country? Kindly enlighten me, sir.
Take a second. I'll come back to that. We have Bhavar on the phone line. 1 second. We have Bhavar on the phone line now. Bhavar, ये तस्वीरें जरा समझाइए दर्शकों को. सरवर चिश्ती की जो देश को हिला देने की बातें कर रहे थे और अब पीस मार्च में, पीस रैली में दिखाई दे रहे हैं.
देखिए, जिस तरीके से सरवर चिश्ती ने कहा था कि उन्हें न प्रधानमंत्री पे विश्वास है, न गृह मंत्री पे विश्वास है, यानी कि संवैधानिक पदों पर जिस आदमी को विश्वास नहीं है, उन्होंने कहा था कि वैसे आंदोलन खड़ा करेंगे कि पूरा देश हिल जाएगा. इस तरह के बयान देने वाले और भड़काऊ बयान देने वाले व्यक्ति सद्भावना रैली में शामिल हुए और कोशिश ये की गई कि जो पीछे जो उन्होंने कहा उसको एक तरीके से मैनेज करने की कोशिश नजर आती है. खैर, देर आए दुरुस्त आए. अगर सद्भावना के लिए कोई व्यक्ति आगे आता है तो उसका स्वागत है, लेकिन ऐसा ना हो कि हाथी के दांत खाने के अलग हों और दिखाने के अलग हों, क्योंकि जिस तरह की उनके वीडियोस वायरल होते हैं, जिस तरह की भाषा का वो इस्तेमाल करते हैं, वो कहीं भी एक संवैधानिक भाषा नहीं है, वो कहीं भी एक नैतिक भाषा नहीं है जिसका वो इस्तेमाल करते हैं.
अगर ये पता नहीं कि अगर प्रेशर में इस तरह की उन्होंने कदम उठाया है कि पीस मार्च का हिस्सा वो बने हैं, या वाकई में कोई माइंडसेट चेंज हुआ है, उनका हृदय परिवर्तन हुआ है, चेंज ऑफ हार्ट, वी डोंट नो द रीजन, बट ही वाज सीन एट द पीस मार्च. बट वन कैन नॉट फॉरगेट द काइंड ऑफ स्टेटमेंट्स दैट ही मेड, देश को हिला देने वाले स्टेटमेंट्स. थैंक यू वेरी मच भावर फॉर गेटिंग अस दोस डिटेल्स. माजिद हायदरी, सरवर चिश्ती भी अब पीस मार्च में नजर आ रहे हैं, पीस रैली में नजर आ रहे हैं. इससे पहले देश को हिलाने की बातें वो कर रहे थे. Aren't such individuals maligning the community? Aren't such individuals responsible for misleading the youth?
I have already said, don't look at the words of what he has been saying. Look at the emotions that were involved, and still his emotions are involved.
When you give that argument, you're almost justifying it.
About Hindu-Muslim unity.
You're almost justifying it when you give that argument. Don't look at the words, look at the emotions. Emotions से ही तो words सामने आ रहे हैं.
No. See, this is the Khwaja's land where Hindus and Muslims have been living with harmony.
They should continue to live like that, and that's why it's very important to identify such elements, sir. अगर हम शांति चाहते हैं तो. Javed Beg is back with us.
Sides of the coin.
Javed Beg is back with us. Javed Beg, is there even an iota of truth in the fact that Friday prayers are used to mislead the youth of the Muslim community? That Friday violence was witnessed in Jammu and Kashmir, and it became almost a trend.
20 seconds.
Why is this law and order problem since 2014 only? Why was Friday never a law and order?
Majid, let me answer now. I think this question is for me.
Yes.
Let me answer now.
Okay, sorry.
See, had there not been violence after Friday prayers, Mr. Indresh Kumar wouldn't have said this. That's a fact. I want to ask this question to Majid Haidari. When was Muhammad Oyub Pandit lynched inside the historical mosque, Jama Masjid, on the auspicious night of Shab-e-Qadr? Yes. You know, Friday prayers have been used for last 3 decades in Kashmir. Now this trend has spread across country. We have to identify it. Majid, why don't you understand that these elements are bringing disgrace to Islam? They are bringing disgrace to this community. Why should somebody like me, who is a peacenik, who advocates peace, communal harmony, coexistence, why should I suffer because of your mindset, because of your ideology? You know, people who spread violence in the name of religion, we have to identify them. They should be taken to task. Why should I suffer? Why should people who believe in peace, who believe in coexistence, why should they suffer?
Very important.
Yes, Muhammad Oyub Pandit, a Kashmiri Muslim, was lynched inside Jamia Masjid, Srinagar. Yes,
Majid,
he was not lynched
now.
by...
Why should people who want
He
peace
was not lynched by Hindus. He was not lynched by RSS people. He was not lynched by people who belong to BJP. He was lynched by those Namazis who were inside that mosque.
Majid Haidari.
Now listen, my quote-unquote peacenik brother. The lynching in Srinagar was the transmission of infection.
Sorry?
Which had lynched so many people in the mainland. Muhammad Ikhlaq, Tabrez Ansari, Piglu Khan, Muhammad Afroz.
Okay, so he is justifying violence.
Mr. Majid Haidari,
No, I am not going to debate
again
with
you are
him.
justifying what happened.
I am not going to debate with him. I'm not going to debate with him.
No,
He is justifying violence.
there actually is no argument if you justify violence. There actually is no argument if you justify violence.
Because he is not suffering himself.
Javed Beg asked you a very simple question. He said, why should people who want peace between both the communities suffer because of such elements? You have no answer to that.
I want to reply to Majid Haidari.
I said it was the infection which had transmitted from the Hindutva agenda towards Kashmir that time.
So it's an infection if people are being lynched in the mosque. If people are being lynched, it's an infection. It's not violence. It's not violence, it's infection. Okay. Great description. Yes. Tehsin Poonawalla.
Majid Haidari, 2 things that I want to make very clear on this show. You use the word mainland for India as if Kashmir is separate. No, Kashmir is as much mainland as any other part of India. Let's make this extremely clear and get that very clear. Kashmir is an integral part of India and we will lay down our life for Kashmir, and nobody has a right to claim Kashmir is separate from India. There's no mainland India and separate Kashmir. Let's make that clear. Number 2, please Majid Haidari. You made, look Majid Haidari. Majid Haidari, please, no one interrupted you, let me finish. We have to fight the BJP, we have to defeat the BJP, no doubt about it. But this fight against the BJP can't be based on the principles of falsehood, lies, and on the principles of lynching. I had fought for Muhammad Oyub Pandit in Supreme Court, and let me tell you one more thing about Ram Navami. Once again, you're factually wrong. You can eat what you want on Ram Navami. Yes, some shops are being closed, that's politics of the BJP, that is a separate legal issue. The problem that our fight against BJP gets weakened is when people like you come and make non-factual statements and make statements like mainland India and Kashmir, thereby defeating our cause. So please don't do this.
Okay, political
Stay away. Kashmir is a part of India.
Okay, I think political ideologies aside, everybody needs to come together to fight such elements, because they're not just hurting their own community, but they're hurting communities across the country. When violence is unleashed, a person not belonging to just one community suffers and has to bear the brunt of violence, but everybody is affected. So everybody needs to come together, not just against the BJP or the Congress or some political party, but against hatred. That's all I want to say while wrapping up the debate. Anand Ranganathan and Tehsin Poonawalla will continue with us for debate number 2. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us and giving us your time. Moving on, another day, another showdown over the national emblem. While the new parliament, the pride of India, should have united our nation, the opposition was quick to find faults. They say that the basic character of Ashoka's lion capital has been tampered with to depict aggression and bared fangs, instead of majesty and peace. While some have gone to the extent of calling it the transition from Satyamev Jayate to Sangmev Jayate, others say it depicts the change from Gandhi to Godse. Let's show you the differences. And these pictures, in fact, were shared by many leaders in the opposition parties trying to highlight the difference between the 28 BC Ashok Stamp and the one that has been installed on the new parliament and was unveiled by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And this is the description of the opposition. As far as the Ashok Stamp is concerned, it's smiling. In the other picture, it can be seen snarling. The mouth is closed in the original one. And in the replica or the adaptation, as the BJP is calling it, the mouth is open, teeth not bared in the original one. Fangs can be seen in the adaptation or replica. The demeanor is calm, whereas in the other one it is aggressive. Satyamev Jayate is inscribed. Satyamev Jayate is not inscribed in the new emblem, or as is being called by the opposition, Modi's version or the government's version. However, the opposition accuses the NDA of changing the emblem to represent its own aggressive governance. Listen in.
You should understand that it was built by Ashoka the Great, right? And that pillar was at Sarnath was the place historically where Gautam Buddha had given his first sermon. Why don't the BJP and the RSS people understand that the elephant, the lion and the bull and the horse, they signify liberty, equality, fraternity and justice. It signifies courage and justice. It also tells you that Parliament is supreme. Speaker is supreme. No, inside the Parliament, it is the Speaker who is supreme, not the Prime Minister of India.
All these emblems, signs, emblems, they all had been thoroughly discussed, and after that they had been established. They had been finalized by the successive leadership in last 70 years. So I think any kind of tampering in these symbols or these Rashtriya Pratik should not be done.
Well, the BJP is calling it an adaptation. The BJP is saying the emblem is an accurate replica of the Ashoka lion capital. And here is the reason why that is being said. BJP says the size has been changed, the design has not been changed. The Ashok Stamp is 1.6 meter high, whereas the emblem on top of the Sansad is 6.5 meters high. BJP contends if an exact replica was to be mounted, it would not have been visible. Now, as far as the original Ashok Stamp is concerned, it was set up at ground level. The emblem on top of the Sansad is at a height of 33 meters from ground. BJP contends that the dimensions had to be changed to make it visible. The original Ashok Stamp pillar can be seen at 6.5 meters. As far as the one on top of the Sansad is concerned, is being viewed from a low angle. So BJP is saying that, it looks different since it's low angle. This was said by Union Minister Hardeep Puri. As far as others in the BJP are concerned, they are saying on the reactions coming in from the opposition that it's a desperate opposition that has no other issues and it is only running out of issues. That's why politicizing the emblem.
जिन लोगों ने संविधान को अपने पैरों तले कुचला, जिन लोगों ने संवैधानिक परंपराओं का मजाक उड़ाया, आज वो उस एम्बलम से डरते हैं जो भारत का प्रतीक है, जो भारत का गौरव है।
प्रॉब्लम ये है ना कि शेर और वो भी मोदी जी, शेर और उस पे सवा शेर, तो देख करके डर तो जाएंगे ही, वो तो क्रिटिसाइज करने लगेंगे भाई, क्योंकि एक मोदी जी तो शेर है ही, और उसके बाद एक शेर का उन्होंने वो भी देख लिया, चिन्ह भी, तो और भी चिंता हो जाती।
वो क्या कहें, कुछ ना कुछ तो कहना है, तो इसलिए वो कुछ ना कुछ भौंकते रहते हैं। उनके भौंकने से फर्क नहीं पड़ता, देश जान चुका है इस बात को।
You heard the opposition, you also heard the rebuttals. Now let's listen to the creator of the emblem himself. The creator says design is authentic, only the size varies. Even the former ASI chief backs his contentions. Listen in.
ये एंगल से अगर हम देखेंगे तो उसका कैरेक्टर बदल जाता है, और सेम एंगल से वो फोटो लिया गया है बियॉन्ड, मतलब जो ग्राउंड लेवल से। तो अगर हम दूर से उसका इमेज लेते तो ये डिक्टो मैंने जो राष्ट्रीय एम्ब्लेम है उसका कॉपी किया है। मेरा ऐसा कोई पर्पस नहीं है कि ये स्कल्पचर में ये एक्सप्रेशन या मुझे किसी ने प्रेशर नहीं किया है कि ये एक्सप्रेशन दो। इसमें आर्टिस्ट कोई इंटरेस्टेड भी नहीं होता है। मैंने जो ऑथेंटिक है वो मैंने किया है। गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से मुझे कांटेक्ट नहीं मिला है ये, ये मुझे TPL टाटा प्रोजेक्ट लिमिटेड से दिया गया है, डायरेक्ट गवर्नमेंट से मेरा कोई ये नहीं है इसमें।
एक 7 फीट के या 8 फीट के लाइन कैपिटल की बात है और जहां एक 20, 21, 22 फीट ऊंचे लाइन कैपिटल की बात है, तो वहां एक आर्टिस्ट पर्सपेक्टिव में देखता है। जो फोटोग्राफ्स वगैरह मैंने देखी उसके आधार पे मुझे यही लगता है कि ये उसकी अच्छी कॉपी तैयार करने का प्रयास किया गया है।
So you heard the creator. The creator says, I have not changed the expressions. The size varies, yes, but the design is authentic. Let's open this up and let's go across to our guests. Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP, joins us in the broadcast. Arima Sundaram, senior lawyer, is also part of the panel tonight. Dr. Anand Ranganathan and Tehseen Poonawala continue to be with us. We are also joined by Dr. Kakoli Ghosh, national spokesperson and MP of TMC. Good evening to all of you. Sanju Verma, my first question is to you, since the allegation is against the government of changing the national symbols, emblems. Mr. Sanjay of the Aam Aadmi Party, Sanjay Singh, says, shouldn't such people be called anti-national? Are they not anti-national who are changing the national symbols? You have changed the design. The opposition says this is a replica of your governance. Why are the lions aggressive?
You know, Swati, I'm reminded of that famous, song of Bob Dylan. Do not criticize what you cannot understand. But coming to your question, and on a more serious note, I think today Hardeep Puri, he's put out a Twitter thread completely exposing the narrative of the pseudo-left liberals and nailing every lie that has been put out by this Lafian Lashkar lobby. Almost very quickly, the original Sarnath emblem standalone height is 1.6 meters. This, the one that we are talking of, which will be on top of the new parliament building, is 6.5 meters standalone length. And when you see from the ground, it is actually at a height of 33 meters, weighing 9,500 kgs. So as Hardeep Puri very rightly said, please ensure that when you criticize, you take into account the impact of size, angle, height, proportion, what have you. Point number 2, आज हमको nationalism पर कौन भाषण दे रहा है? The same lot which has a problem not only saying भारत माता की जय, but which has a problem saying that जनगण मन नहीं गाइए, कोई problem नहीं है, वंदे मातरम मत बोलिए, कोई problem नहीं है, सरपंच से जुदा बोलिए, that is your freedom of expression. So we don't need endorsement from this particular lobby on what needs to be done. Point number 3, Article 74, 75, 79 of the Indian Constitution lays down the separation of powers between executive, legislature and judiciary. And I challenge anybody on your panel to tell me which provision under Article 74, 75 or 79 was flouted by Prime Minister Narendra Modi when he did the inauguration of the cast of that emblem. Point number 4, and something which your audience needs to know, that in November 2020, from the Prime Minister's office and the relevant bodies, there was an invite sent out to key leaders of the opposition, including Ghulam Nabi Azad and Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary. Okay. But they refused to attend the Bhumi Pujan, which was done in December 2020. And, I will just wind up by asking a few questions, Swati. People say, oh, Speaker's powers are paramount, and he should be the one who should have done that inauguration yesterday. So I will repeat, between Article 93 to 96, the powers of the Speaker as the presiding officer of Lok Sabha are very well elucidated. So please educate yourself before criticizing. But, when Indira Gandhi in October 1975 inaugurated the annex of the new parliament, annex of the parliament building at that point in time, nobody objected. On 15th August 1987, Rajiv Gandhi inaugurated the new library of the parliament building, then nobody objected. Okay. And one very interesting point. Apparently, Jawaharlal Nehru is the only Prime Minister of India to have unveiled a portrait in the inner chambers of the Lok Sabha. There are 25 portraits in all. And you will be surprised to know 20 of those portraits were unveiled by either Congress ruled government, Congress ruled Prime Minister, or people whom they supported.
Okay. As far as reactions of respective inaugurations that happened during the Congress regime when Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister or Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister, I'll reserve that for round 2 of the face-off. Let me first take a reaction from Dr. Ghosh on what you said were unwarranted comments when it came from the opposition on the emblem on top of the Sansad. Dr. Ghosh, as far as the creator is concerned, the creator or the artist says that I have not changed the design, the size has changed. The government is saying you're comparing a 2D print image to a 3D sculpture. So there'll be differences. You're watching it from a very low angle. So maybe it's because of the difference in perspectives. How do you respond?
You see, what I would first say is that after so much of bloodshed and so much of killing, Samrat Ashoka, he wanted peace. He took up Buddhism and he, just to preach peace, he made this at Sarnath, where these lions, including other animals, were put up. Those lions are calm, quiet, the 4 Asian lions back to back. They give you a regal feeling. Now, whichever artist has made this, he knows nothing of art. And he is a novice I don't know how he got this order to make this.
He said the government didn't give me the order, a private firm did.
It's a horrible, aggressive, fighting kind of lion with open mouths, totally D-shaped. Look at the one that has been there for ages, since 2050 BC, on the left side of your screen. And look at this horrible one, D-shaped, unproportionate, and with open mouth, popping eyes, just like the Bharatiya Janata Party. It's got an aggressive look. You feel scared of it. It is a total misnomer, and this is an insult to the Sarnath temple's Ashoka Stupa, on which this lion capital was placed. It is in Sarnath now. Now these Bharatiya Janata Party leaders, they think shouting, abusing, and just trying to bulldoze the opposition will win them the hearts of the people. No, it won't. They have trampled upon the cooperative federalism for so many years now, and just by the virtue of their numbers, they are now trying to distort the history, which is absolutely not acceptable.
Okay, so this is aggressive governance of the BJP, which is reflecting in the lines you're saying. You're also saying that the artist knows nothing about this art. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, why are the lions so aggressive is the question I asked Sanju Verma, and Dr. Ghosh has answered. She says it is because it reflects the governance of the BJP. Now, I don't know, BJP is going to take that as a compliment or as criticism. What your response?
Yeah, thank you, Swati. Can I, before I give my response on the issue, take about 30 seconds to rebut the good Dr. Ghosh, if she and you permit me, because she's raised an important point.
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. I just hope that, with due respect, Dr. Ghosh knows more about medicine than she knows about history. Because the fact is that Emperor Ashoka was already a Buddhist for 8 years before he undertook that war in Kalinga that killed up lakhs of people. So he did not turn Buddhist after the Kalinga war. He was already a Buddhist for 8 years. And as far as her commenting about the professionalism of the artist who's made the Sarnath lion, well, art is subjective, but can I please show out here, if you can see this. This is the sculpture designed by Mamata Banerjee on the occasion of Youth World Cup. It looks like a footballer was about to head a football, and the football actually went inside his torso. So much for artistic professionalism. Now let me come to your topic. Here again, let me show you, Swati. This is on the left. On the left is the original Sarnath lion, which is in the Sarnath Museum.
We have it on the screen, Dr. Ranganathan. You can go ahead.
Yes, and on the right is the bronze lion, on who you have to be absolutely blind to say that the bronze lion is more menacing than the original Sarnath lion. I mean, this is emblematic, pun not intending, emblematic of the way opposition behaves It snarls like a lion, and in the end, Modi keeps on winning and smiles like a Cheshire cat. अरे भाई वो शेर है, वो snarl नहीं करेगा तो क्या म्याऊ म्याऊ करेगा बिल्ली की तरह? And secondly, as I've already told you, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. You compare the original Sarnath lion to the bronze lion. Nowhere is the bronze lion more menacing than the Sarnath one. Secondly, this is symbolism. There are hundreds of thousands of Sarnath lions all across India that don't look identical. It is supposed to symbolize power. It is supposed to symbolize aggression. That is what lions are for. Ashoka did not choose 4 pigeons. He chose 4 lions. So please, can we get this straight? And secondly, I mean, this is just a friendly dig at my good friend Tehseen. The problem is he still prefers Singh to Singham.
Well, he's the next speaker, so he should go ahead and respond.
Yeah, I prefer to sing songs of peace than to flop movies like Singham, which promote violence. So I agree absolutely with you. I'm a peacenik in the true sense, my friend Anand. But let me come to the crux of the issue. The crux of the issue is not whether the lion is smiling or it's not smiling. Anand, just to correct you, the billy and the lion both come from the cat family. So that's not the crux of the issue. The crux of the issue is simply this. The Honorable Prime Minister thought it not fit to have the opposition present there. Now, all the instances that Sanju Verma ji, the BJP spokesperson, has laid down, first of all, she is factually wrong, which I will correct her. The opposition was present. For example, the library that she was talking about was the Bhumi Pujan was done by President V.V. Giri on April 3rd, 1970. Here, the President of India was not even present. And the library and the NXC that she's talking about, and the library, the Bhumi Pujan was done by Shivraj Patil, the Speaker, on April 17, 1994, and the same library was inaugurated on May 7, 2002 by the President of India. Here the Speaker was made to sit behind, the opposition wasn't invited, and even if your baseless charges of what Indira ji did or Rajiv ji did holds true, I thought this was a new India. Why do you hold what they did wrong as something that has to be wrong? The fact is the Parliament represents us, we the people. The Parliament is answerable to the opposition, and it is run on the name of the President of India. To not have the President there, to not have the opposition there, I think this is an insult to the sovereignty and to the Parliament that represents us, we the people.
Okay, it's an insult to the sovereignty and the Parliament. Sanju Verma, respond.
You know, Swati, I always say that, you know, sometimes silence is golden. And in the case of Tehseen Poonawalla, he's made a complete mockery of himself. I will not say he's made a fool of himself. V.V. Giri died on the 24th of June 1980. The library of the Parliament.
I said NXC, I corrected myself. April 3rd, August 3rd, 1970, NXC. I corrected myself. Can you please tell I corrected myself?
She can hear you. She can hear you. Sanju Verma, he corrected himself.
Yes, I talked about the NXC.
Let me please finish.
The NXC Bhumi Pujan was done by the then President of India, V.V. Giri, on August 3rd, 1970. Just for
okay. She has other objections as well. Go ahead, Sanju Verma.
Yes. Swati, you know, Tehseen did not correct himself on the date. Rajiv Gandhi inaugurated this particular library in the Parliament on 15th August 1987.
No, the foundation was laid by him. It was inaugurated by the President. You're wrong.
So stop saying that V.V. Giri inaugurated it. Don't make a fool of yourself on national television. Now I will come to the more important point. Swati, the TMC made some allegations. The BJP is aggressive. You know, we have been called a party that is very abrasive, even Hitler Shahi. One of their TMC leaders who was with JDU, Pawan Verma, said that the new parliament building is an example of architectural megalomania. I will tell you what megalomania is. Megalomania is when the Prime Minister during COVID holds repeat meetings and Mamata Banerjee chooses not to attend one. Megalomania is when the Prime Minister goes to visit a cyclone-affected West Bengal and forget Mamata Banerjee. She did not even allow the Chief Secretary to receive the Prime Minister at the airport. Megalomania is when on Parakram Divas on 23rd January, Netaji Bose's anniversary celebration, Prime Minister is sitting there and Mamata Banerjee has the audacity to walk away in a huff simply because somebody chanted Jai Shri Ram.
Okay, how is that connected to the issue that we are debating, Sanju Verma?
Swati, 10 seconds. Megalomania is best exhibited when on 7th May you have Rabindranath Tagore Jayanti celebrations and Mamata Banerjee lies that she was not invited till her birthday spot. So don't give us bhashan.
Okay, I'll go across to Dr. Ghosh. I'm coming to you for a response, but I first want to go across to Mr. Sundaram. Mr. Sundaram, is it really about this difference in perspective and angles when it comes to the emblems, or is it really more about difference in perspectives and angles in politics?
Look, where is the doubt about it? You're making a mountain out of a molehill. Here is a case where an opposition has tried to find every way in which to criticize the government. You can't fault them for it because that is politics, and that is what any opposition would do, whoever the government is in power or whoever the opposition is. But my point is, we are coming from the sublime to the ridiculous. I mean, a thing like this, to create such a scene about it. After all, there is a national emblem. The emblem of 4 lions' heads. There is no disrespect being shown to the national emblem. A particular sculpture, according to someone, portrays a slight difference from the original Sarnath lions. But what is our national emblem? It is the 4 lions and what the lions depict. Now, if the objection is, why is this lion's tooth bigger than that lion's tooth, and why is this lion looking like it has a bigger chest than that lion? Surely, I mean, this is something which should really be wasting the time. What we're really doing is, we've come to a stage where, you know, you want anything to criticize a government, so you grab hold of anything you can find, and you almost like wake up today and say, today what can we criticize the government on? I'm not finding fault with this particular opposition, but I'm saying unfortunately it's become the situation today that this is what oppositions feel they should do. They should be criticizing on any issue at all. Yeah. Now finally, let me just say one thing. What is the issue now? The issue is, here is a sculpture made of a lion in a size which has never been made before. The original sculpture was a much smaller one, 1/6 the size. So far as in the Constitution, emblem which is shown is a 2-dimensional and not 3-dimensional. So long as your basic emblem is the same, if there's a slight variation here or there, if a tooth is longer or not, well, I just think this is much ado about nothing. And I think this just seems to be nothing but politicking and unnecessary politicking, if you ask me.
Unnecessary politicking.
Especially when an objection is sought to be raised about the especially, let me say one more thing. Okay, especially when an objection is being sought to be raised about the Prime Minister unveiling it. I mean, who else? He's the leader of the House. He is the leader of the House. He's the elected leader of the people. The people have elected him as the leader in India. He's the leader of the House. Yes, the Speaker is master of what goes on in the legislature. But surely, to open the Parliament House to have the statue unveiled, if the leader of the House does it, the Prime Minister of India who has been elected by the people of India as their leader does it, what is there to criticize? Okay. I mean, look, we are going into areas where we are criticizing anything at all for no reason at all.
Okay, criticizing things for no reason at all. I know Dr. Ranganathan wants to come in, Sanju Verma and Tehseen also want to come in, but I'm completely out of time. Sorry, I can't give you even a second more. Thank you very much. I'm wrapping the debate. Thank you very much for joining us.
और ये गलत कर रहे हैं, शिवसैनिकों को जुटला रहे हैं, शिवसैनिकों को फेंक रहे हैं। इसलिए मैं कह रहा हूं, आप अभी भी वापस आओ, मातोश्री चलो और शिवसेना प्रमुख का आदर रखो।
and security.
देश के प्रधानमंत्री आपसे भी कह रहा हूं कि अगर भारत में अगर युवा बेरोजगार है, महंगाई आसमानों को छू रही है, डीजल 1 लीटर 102 रुपये हो चुका है, तो इसका जिम्मेदार यकीनन औरंगजेब है।
Smriti Irani has been a union minister for the last 8 years. She started as the HRD minister back in 2014 and since handled ministries of women and child welfare, information and broadcasting, textiles, and more recently one being the Ministry of Minority Affairs. 5 days ago, she took additional charge of the ministry that was vacated by Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi. And now there's a massive storm over it. TMC MP has questioned why a hardcore Hindu was given the responsibility of Muslims and Christians. Jawahar Sarkar didn't stop at that. He even asked if this was BJP's idea of secularism. Now, the opposition was quick to latch on to this and question not just Smriti Irani's religious beliefs, but even her credentials. They asked if she was even competent enough to hold that portfolio. But were they talking about her credentials, or were they just hung up on her not being a Muslim? The BJP is confident it's the latter. Listen to the war of words that has since erupted.
आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के मंत्रिमंडल में एक भी अल्पसंख्यक कोटे से मंत्री नहीं बचे नकवी जी के जाने के बाद। तो यही दिखाता है कि सरकार की मानसिकता क्या है, सोच क्या है।
The opposition's idea that an Indian should be a minority in their own country, what does that tell you? Is not every Indian equal? Is not every Indian having the right to be equally respected? It is our constitutional responsibility to ensure that we serve all, appease none.
The minorities of this country has got its own specific problems, where the people hailing from that communities really have gone through this problem. They'll understand. Abbas Naqvi was there and he was trying to understand things, but I don't understand what type of a game they are playing around. We need an expertise in all these things. Decisions are taken in such a way the people who don't even know what is minorities issues are. People are not even cannot understand what is linguistic minority, what is religious minorities. They cannot understand what exactly the problems minorities are going through.
किसी व्यक्ति के सामने तर्कों की कंगाली हो जाती है तो वो कुतर्कों का मवाली बन जाता है। अब उन कुछ लोगों की दिक्कत यही है, तर्कों की कंगाली उनको कुतर्कों का मवाली बना देती है। और इसमें जो है वो कौन सी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बाध्यता है कि जो अल्पसंख्यक मंत्रालय है तो अल्पसंख्यक ही मंत्री होगा, महिला मंत्रालय है तो कहेंगे महिला ही मंत्री होनी चाहिए। ऐसा होता है क्या?
And now for all those who are questioning Smriti Irani, even before she hits the ground running, let me remind them of a few facts. Smriti Irani has encouraged entrepreneurship among Muslim women, emphasized the benefits for poor Muslims and economically weaker sections in terms of reservations. She's even spearheaded the proposal to up women's marriageable age to 21 just recently. Add to that the fact that Smriti Irani is not the first non-Muslim minority affairs minister. Many opposition-ruled states have had Hindus at the helm of that department, including Mamata Banerjee until 2021. In Kerala, Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan is in charge of the department. In Rajasthan, Odisha and Telangana too, Hindus are at the helm. Is that a compromise on secularism to them? So that brings me to the legitimate question on the Newshour tonight. Is it community over confidence for opposition?
You're watching the Newshour at night. Debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Let's take this across to our guest. Joining us is Nalin Kohli, national spokesperson of the BJP. With us also is Ishkaran Bhandari, advocate. We have Firoz Bakht Ahmed, former VC of MANNU. Dr. Shashi Panja is minister in charge of the Department of Women and Child Development and Social Welfare, as well as national spokesperson of the TMC. Lokesh Jindal is the leader of the Congress. Anurag Bhadoria is a national spokesperson of the SP. Let me begin with Dr. Shashi Panja. Dr. Shashi Panja, I just want to quote the person who was the previous occupant of the Minority Affairs Department's ministry, and this is what Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi himself is saying. He says they, and I presume he's talking about opposition parties, have lost the control over arguments and are hence resorting to misinformation and illogical points. Where is it written that only a minority should be the Minority Affairs Minister? Direct question to you, ma'am.
Sorry, Madhavji, is that a question to me? Because I just lost. I was just
Yes, Dr. Shashi Panja,
could you just
question
repeat?
to
I was
you.
just
Mukhtar Abbas
Yes.
Naqvi says, where is it written that only a member of the minority community should be the Minority Affairs Department's minister? Please answer that.
No, it's not written anywhere, because for that matter, our own chief minister has been the Minority Affairs Minister. So, where is it written? It's not written anywhere.
Then why create such a fuss, ma'am?
No, we're not creating such a fuss. And that's why the Honorable MP Jawahar Sarkar, kind of explained his tweet further on, and he said that my tweet is positive. I am trying to say that this step is very positive, and not to dissect his tweet and to say that this is being secular. He has mentioned, I said this is secular. Please distinguish between the negative and the positive. This is secular and positive. This is how India should be, and this is how India should be has been behaving all along. Well, during the course of the debate, we have other questions too, but he has requested and said categorically that the tweet did not demean any individual or any community, and that it was a positive tweet, and that his tweet should not be dissected otherwise.
Okay,
So,
let me get the BJP on that. Mr. Naren Kohli, do you agree with that perception or that position that Dr. Shashi Panja has now given? It's a clarification coming in from the TMC. Is that really the sense that you got when you first read the tweet, or do you think that this is a belated backtracking?
Well, the tweet leaves no doubt in anyone's mind, and it's very regrettable. It's a direct attack on a lady. It's a direct attack on religious lines. It's a direct attack on making a mockery of how they have to view minority affairs in this country. As Kiran Rijiju has put it out in his tweet, it comes from a pseudo-secularist mindset that doesn't belong either under the constitutional scheme of India, or it doesn't belong in a new India, where we are all striving together as equal citizens, marching ahead under Prime Minister Modi's government, without looking at which beneficiary and which person is from which religion. Not a single scheme of the government of India under Prime Minister Modi looks at the beneficiary from the prism of Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, Parsi, Jew. It looks at it only as an Indian citizen, and the scheme and the benefit must reach there. Whether it is for ensuring that food grains reach, whether it's gas, whether it's road, whether it's Startup India, across the spectrum. Now that the Trinamool Congress perhaps is sensing that India is anguished at the kind of line that was taken by one of their eminent leaders, they perhaps are trying to course correct. If they are trying to course correct, the easiest way is discard that tweet, apologize for it, and say, no, we don't stand with this kind of mindset, and the Trinamool would not like it to be seen from this prism.
Respond to that, Dr. Panja.
No, it's so unfortunate, Nalin Kohli ji, that you or your party should misinterpret the tweet. Very categorically, the MP who tweeted again retweeted and explained what it is. So do not misinterpret it. And you know, India is still reeling under the international condemnation against the disparaging remarks of one of your spokes. And who are you? I mean, really, BJP should not be. Who's been ruining the secular fabric of this country? Let me know. Who has brought in vigilantism? Who has brought in lynching? Who has brought in the dress controversy? Who has been targeting? Who passed the CAA, the Citizenship Amendment Code, where religions of or people coming from religions A, B, C can become citizens, but those coming from D, E, F cannot become citizens? Who has been doing it? Who are the ones who have executed religious persecution?
Okay. Okay, this is an extension of religious persecution, ma'am. All right. Let Nalin Kohli respond to that. That's your argument. Nalin Kohli.
May I just answer? So, Dr. Shashi Panja, respectfully, I would like to say, if your learned member of parliament had to issue a second tweet to explain his first tweet, it just shows that how confusing that tweet was, or badly drafted, or it was a backtrack. In all three cases, it's not an example of great language skills then. I mean, if your own tweet, an MP writes a tweet which requires a second tweet to clarify it, then it just shows that either the person is immensely confused or he had to backtrack. It's not very complicated.
Yeah.
Number two, very kind of you to now forget what CAA is all about. Look at the injustice being done to this, for example, Sikh community in Afghanistan.
Okay.
Have you missed out the fact that a bombing took place in the Gurdwara there in Afghanistan? If there was no CAA, how would you protect these people with whom a historical wrong has been done? Number three, just for the record, the division of India was on religious lines. Pakistan was created, as was East Pakistan at that time, basically as a place for Muslims to have a separate country. Those Muslims who chose not to go to Pakistan chose a secular India and ensured that they wanted to be under a constitution which is equal and gives rights under Article 14 equally to all Indian citizens. Now in today's India, looking at what is the status of minorities, even the Muslims in this country would not like to see India become like Pakistan, Rest assured that your arguments on CA do not make sense, because Bengal is becoming a haven for people from across the border coming and making Bengali Muslims a minority in their own state.
Firstly, before you respond to Nalin Kohli, may I just say something since you mentioned I've been looking for that one clarification tweet. It doesn't seem to be anywhere on Twitter, at least to the best of my abilities of searching, and of course with due respect to my limited tech skills, what I can see really on his timeline, there is no such clarification tweet. He may have clarified otherwise, but at least has not on Twitter. Please respond to Nalin Kohli.
No, what I'm saying is, look,
maybe it's a direct message to Mamta ji or someone.
Nalin Kohli ji, you don't have a Muslim MP in your party right now. You don't, in your recently concluded UP elections, you couldn't even put one Muslim candidate to stand for elections in UP. Okay. And then you are questioning us. Minorities, imagine, you are now trying to pit a minority against a minority. Who did the Kabristan Shamshan issue? Who talked about 80-20? I mean, you have so many questions to answer.
Okay,
and now, when minorities...
All right, I want to bring in other guests, but quick response. Nalin Kohli, please, 30 seconds. The charge that keeps coming from opposition parties is this, that neither in Parliament nor in the Cabinet do you give adequate representation to Muslims. That's the charge again and again. Please respond. Yeah, please respond, Nalin.
Yeah, I have a straight. Yeah, I think the Prime Minister's and Narendra Modi ji's agenda is Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas, in which all Indians are treated equally. Only the opposition party wants to divide the country into Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, Parsi, Jews.
Right.
And I can understand Dr. Shashi Panja's concern, because here is a party that doesn't respect even Ma Kali.
Okay.
Imagine Ma Kali not being respected by an MP from the Trinamool Congress. Look at what the people of Bengal are feeling, what the people of India are feeling, and the rest of the world who look at it.
Nalin Kohli ji.
All right. Please let me come in now. I think we have had a debate between the two of you for far too long. There are 4 other panelists who are waiting their turn very patiently. Let me quickly involve them as well. Anurag Bhadoria, मैं स्मृति रानी की tweet को पढ़ना चाहता हूँ, जो उन्होंने कहा है आज, in fact वो पढ़ना चाहता हूँ. Tweet नहीं है, this is a statement where she says, when I sit on the chair of minority affairs, I intend to serve Indians. Does Mr. Sarkar think that Parsis are not minorities? Do opposition parties think that this inequality to exist always? It's the opposition mindset to keep this inequality in India. क्या जवाब देंगे अनुराग भदौरिया?
मुझे तो एक बात समझ में नहीं आती. मैडम पांजा जी बैठी, उन्होंने साफ साफ कह दिया कि उनके मंत्री ने या उनके विधायक ने क्या कहा है. लेकिन मैडम पांजा जी, आप चिंता मत कीजिए, ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी की आदत है, ये खोजते रहते हैं कहां पे जाति धर्म की राजनीति देखने को मिल जाए, उसका इशू बनाए. अभी नलिन कोहली जी कह रहे थे सबका साथ सबका विकास, तो फिर उत्तर प्रदेश के मुख्यमंत्री मंच पे खड़े होकर क्यों बोल रहे हैं जनसंख्या के बारे में कि एक जाति विशेष? भाई, एक मुख्यमंत्री को शोभा देता है क्या? मुख्यमंत्री की जिम्मेदारी होती है सभी नागरिक का सम्मान करना, चाहे किसी भी जाति धर्म का हो, उनकी ये जिम्मेदारी बनती है, क्योंकि आपकी आदत हो गई इस तरह की बातें करना. अब माइनॉरिटी अफेयर मिनिस्ट्री में आप ये बात लेके आ गए, तो कोई कहता कुछ है, आप उसको तोड़ मड़ोड़ के बस उसको एक एजेंडा बनाते हो, किस तरह से हिंदू मुस्लिम का एजेंडा बन जाए. अरे प्रभु, हाथ जोड़ के निवेदन है, महंगाई बेरोजगारी पे रहा करो, जिसपे आप चर्चा नहीं करना चाहते. या नफरत की राजनीति को क्यों बढ़ावा देते हो? आप हर चीज बढ़ती जा रही है, महंगाई तो बढ़ रही है, बेरोजगारी तो बढ़ रही है, नफरत तो बढ़ाना चाहते हो. अरे कुछ घटाइए भी तो सही, कि सिर्फ बढ़ाना ही जानते हो आप? देश का विकास बढ़ाइए अगर बढ़ाना है तो. लेकिन आप क्या राजनीति करना चाहते हो? कैसे हम एक लाइन खोज के लाएंगे? उसने ये कहा था, उसको इंटरप्रेट करेंगे अपने हिसाब से. आप अपने हिसाब से मत चलाइए हिंदुस्तान को हिंदुस्तान के संविधान के हिसाब से चलने दीजिए, हिंदुस्तान की संस्कृति के हिसाब से चलने दीजिए. हिंदुस्तान को आप शब्दों में तोड़ के क्यों चलाना चाहते हो? क्यों आप चाहते हो कि हम आपका
सर बयान ही इस तरह का दिया है उन्होंने, आप क्या चाहते हैं? जब वो इस तरह का बयान देते हैं, बीजेपी उसको रिस्पॉन्ड करती है, हम बिल्कुल उसको मतलब चुप्पी साधे रहे.
बीजेपी रिस्पॉन्ड नहीं करती है,
बिल्कुल रिस्पॉन्स दे रही है. किरण रिजिजू का ट्वीट था सर, मैं रिजिजू साहब का ट्वीट भी पढ़ के सुना देता हूं आपका. और ये रिजिजू साहब का ट्वीट था आज दोपहर को जो आया था, उसमें कहा था, मुस्लिम्स एंड क्रिश्चियंस, आई होप वन कैन फ्री देयर माइंड फ्रॉम द शैकल्स ऑफ सूडो सेक्युलरिज्म एंड अपीजमेंट पॉलिटिक्स. Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, Buddhists, Jains and Parsis have been notified as minority communities under Section 2C of the National Commission for Minorities Act 1992. तो क्या आपके मायने में आप ये कह रहे हैं कि सिख्स हो, बुद्धिस्ट हो, जैन्स हो, पारसीज हो, उन सबको माइनॉरिटीज के रूप में नहीं देखना चाहिए? माइनॉरिटीज मतलब सिर्फ मुस्लिम्स और क्रिश्चियंस इस देश में? अनुराग भदौरिया, ये सवाल बीजेपी उठा रही है, मैं नहीं कह रहा हूँ.
मुस्लिम, सिख, ईसाई, बौद्ध, जैन जो भी हैं, मैंने सबका नाम लिया. हिंदू, मुस्लिम, सिख, ईसाई, बौद्ध, जैन, जितने भी हमारे देश में जाति धर्म के लोग हैं, सबका सम्मान होना चाहिए। अब मैं किरण रिजिजू की बात कर लूं, ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी के नेता तब कहां चले जाते हैं जब वहां हाथरस की बेटी के साथ अन्याय हुआ था, वो किस जाति धर्म की थी, उसमें तो ट्वीट नहीं किया। जब किसी बच्ची के साथ अन्याय होता है, चीरहरण होता है लखीमपुर में, तब तो ट्वीट नहीं किया। जब इतनी महंगाई आसमान कमर तोड़ है, तब तो ट्वीट नहीं करते। जब यहाँ बेरोजगारी से लोग यहाँ आत्महत्या कर रहे हैं, तब तो ट्वीट नहीं करते। मैं ये पूछना चाहता हूँ, सिर्फ ये जाति धर्म के नाम पे ट्वीट क्यों आता है?
सिर्फ जाति और धर्म के नाम पे ट्वीट आते हैं। I want Ishkaran to come in. Naren, I can see your hand going up, but let me quickly involve others as well. Ishkaran, would you like to take that question? Because sirf jati, I don't know how it's directly related to the Minority Affairs Ministry though, but he has given the example of Hathras and Lakhimpur, and he says that only when there are issues based on caste or religion that we see such kind of matters being raked up by the BJP. That's the allegation of the Samajwadi Party. Please respond.
True, UP election 2022 result would have been very different. End of the day, people decide who is doing politics of development and who is doing politics of jati or for narrow sectarian interests. But let me come to the major thing. Let me come, please don't interrupt. Let me come to the major thing. Madhav, a fact check would be very necessary whether the MP has clarified or not clarified, because it would be very interesting to know. We are having a debate on national television whether the MP has clarified or not, because I also saw on Twitter, I could not find it, but you have a bigger team, maybe you can find the clarification. If he is given the clarification, it's a good thing, because under our constitution, it is very clear, any Indian citizen can be a minister of any department. We cannot have these vetoes and silos that a particular community or a particular person only will head a particular ministry. That is not the path of secular India. That is the path in which you create a Pakistan, a Bangladesh and Afghanistan. So thankfully, we deliberately chose a constitution which has constitutional norms. Otherwise, tomorrow, these questions will arise. Should you have a prime minister who's from X religion, Y religion? There is no end to this dark tunnel if you go into it. So all we can hope is we are being governed by constitutional norms. I'm not even going into Parsi issue or Hindu issue, as the gentleman who's tweeted has tweeted in the initial tweet at least. Any Indian can be a minister of any department. In fact, the question is on the other side. Why is that before this, people from other religions were not made ministers of one department? Is that the veto you believe exists in India, that is over because of political mandates and choices of people? We will all be governed by the constitution.
Well, absolutely. And let me bring in Lokesh Jindal on that point. Lokesh Jindal, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what religion the person is. What should matter is merit of the individual. And here is somebody who has been a minister for the past 8 years. Is merit less important than the religion of the individual? Why even mention that?
Madhav, in fact, this particular issue has nothing to do with the religion, gender, caste of Smriti Irani, but her past conduct is more important. Now, in 2016, when she was the HRD minister, she had witch-hunted Urdu writers. In fact, Smriti Irani went on to ask Urdu writers to guarantee that they will not be writing anything that is anti-national. Such form of discrimination to one particular language shows her mindset and the kind of prejudice that she holds.
What are you basing this allegation on, sir?
Minister of
Mr. Jindal, but please be specific. What are you basing this on?
I am saying that a person who has discriminated a community on the basis of a language, who has been biased with respect to the language, how can you?
And how do you know this?
To be the Minister of Minority Affairs, you can expect her to safeguard the interests of.
My dear sir, please tell our viewers how you know this for a fact.
Sir, it's everywhere. I am shocked that you don't know that in 2016, as a HRD minister, she had come out with a circular that all Urdu writers, they will have to first give a guarantee that they will not be publishing anything that is anti-India. Only then they would be given the funds that were to be provided under the promotion of Urdu language.
Okay.
So such a form of a leader is to be given.
Let's get in a clarification on that. Let's get in a response on that, in fact, from Mr. Feroz Bakht Ahmed. Is this indeed a fact, Mr. Ahmed, what Lokesh Jindal is saying? Do you agree with him?
Actually, am I audible to you, Madhav?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yes. After 20 minutes, I have been given an opportunity, and gazelle of thanks to you for that, Madhav. Now, give me uninterrupted 1 or 2 minutes. Now, problem with these people is, you know, there are some people in this panel who were in power for the last 55, 60 years. And the problem with them is, since the people of India, the voters of India have rejected them, and they are talking about Muslims, they were using Muslims as vote banks, right? And that's why this party is a defeated party, this party is a failed party. I am not taking any party's name. There are other parties, spokesperson of... Just a minute, let me complete. Have patience, don't be a foghorn. Let me complete, please. Now, as far as Smriti Irani is concerned, whatever department she has been given, whatever ministry she has been given, she is doing a very wonderful job. She is concerned and compassionate. अरे आप खामोश रहिए, आप दूसरे लोग भी बैठे हैं यहाँ पे. सुनिए, हाँ बता रहा हूँ मैं. स्मृति ईरानी अभी गई थी केरला.
सवाल पूछा गया, जवाब तो दे दीजिए. अनुराग जी, there is enough time.
By all the
आपके पास आऊँगा मैं. Let him at least complete his answer.
आप जिस
अनुराग जी, please calm down. Please calm down. आपके पास आऊंगा मैं. Nobody interrupted you, sir. Nobody interrupted you. Let him make his point. Let Mr. Bhakt Ahmed make his point. I'll come back to you, please.
मुलायम सिंह ने बलात्कारियों के बारे में क्या कहा था? अरे माधव, let me complete, please. माधव, let me. इनकी पार्टी के जो सबसे बड़े नेता है मुलायम सिंह, इन्होंने बलात्कारी के बारे में क्या कहा था? अरे ये बलात्कारी तो बच्चे हैं, लड़के हैं, ठीक है? ये ऐसी पार्टी से आते हैं. और इनकी पार्टी का समाजवाद क्या है? इनकी पार्टी का समाजवाद वंशवाद और परिवारवाद है. अब आ जाओ, let me come to the point. Sun, please let me complete. Smriti Irani has been rendering a human service to the cause of whatever ministry she has been sent, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi knows. Prime Minister Narendra Modi knows who can do a particular work. और मजे की बात यह है, इससे पहले मुख्तार अब्बास नकवी खुद कह गए कि ये लोग, इनके पास कोई प्रोजेक्ट नहीं है, कोई एजेंडा नहीं है आपके पास. आपने सुनिए, अरे आप अपनी बात क्या कर रहे हो? यूपी में लोगों ने आपको बाहर का दरवाजा दिखा दिया है, लोगों ने आपको रिजेक्ट कर दिया है, कांग्रेस को सेंटर में रिजेक्ट कर दिया है. यू हैव नो, आपके पास कोई एजेंडा नहीं होता तो आप ये निकाल के ले आए. हिंदू मुस्लिम कुछ नहीं है. आप जैसे लोगों ने, पीपल लाइक यू, रिग्रेसिव पीपल like you, negative people like you have raised the bogey of Hindu and Muslim. India, and let me tell you what Modi says about Muslims. Modi क्या कहते हैं मुसलमानों के बारे में? मोदी कहते हैं मुस्लिम हमारी संतान की तरह है, हम उनके साथ बराबरी का सलूक करेंगे. और क्या कहते हैं प्रधानमंत्री मोदी मुसलमानों के बारे में? वो कहते हैं मैं हर मुस्लिम के एक हाथ में कुरान, एक में कंप्यूटर देखना चाहता हूं. अरे क्या बात कर रहे हो आप रिसर्च करो. स्मृति ईरानी, don't take Smriti Irani as a Muslim or Hindu or Parsi. Take her as an Indian.
Okay, gentlemen, I have to come in now. Because when you shout over each other, we can barely hear the arguments of each one of you. Let me come back, please. Let me come back one by one to each of you. Let's not shout over each other. I'm going to come back to Lokesh Jindal. Lokesh Jindal, the question that I want to ask you is this: that why does this question come up only when it is in the case of the centre? Yeah. Yes. I'll come to each of you, gentlemen. Please, let's not have this shouting match. Lokesh Jindal, in various states, various opposition ruled states, including West Bengal, including Kerala, the minority affairs minister is a non-minority person, is in fact a person from the majority community. Now that is the case in several other states of the country as well. Why is it that only when it comes to the centre we end up seeing this kind of politics, Lokesh Jindal?
Well, the problem is Smriti Irani, during her tenure as a HRD minister, had been discriminatory. All the statements have been discriminatory, and she has shown a biasness towards the Hindutva ideology. Now, such a person, if she is made Ministry of Minority Affairs, how can you expect such a person to do justice to the task?
Okay.
Now, when she was the HRD minister, she released a declaration which every Urdu writer has to sign. Over there, under National Council for Promotion of Urdu Language, if any individual got any form of funding or some form of aid from the government, had to give in writing that the contents will not be against the policies of the government and it should not be against the policies of the state. I mean, why only for Urdu writers? Why not for all? And now with such a form of a precedent, such a form of a legacy, she is being made Minister of Minority Affairs.
Nalin Kohli, please respond to that. Please respond to that charge being made here by Lokesh Jindal. He says that there is a bias that Ms. Irani has. That is his charge. Please respond.
Mr. Jindal has used the word legacy. I think the legacy that needs to be discussed on this panel is the Congress party's legacy. after being in government for almost 5.5, 6 decades, elected by the people, they are rejected to that point that they have to now look for a Trinamool Congress MP putting out a tweet
about the topic
talking of a clarification which is not there and become the legend. It is legendary. Look how, I mean, look at this. Now they are actually, as we call, the wrong end of the tail of a regional party. It's amazing. And they use words like legacy and all. If they reflected on their own rather shallow position in politics because of this kind of politics that they practice, perhaps they would realize that the politics, look, Madhav, I don't debate like this, Madhav.
Okay, one at a time. I'm coming to each of you. There is time.
He says. He's entitled not to agree with a word of mine.
Yeah.
Let's say, I mean, we have time and it's such a nice debate. Everyone is speaking their things. We all can disagree. Doesn't matter. We are not here to agree with each other. So therefore, I'm saying Mr. Jindal and his party are all entitled to look at legacy as being the tail of the Trinamool Congress MP whose clarification we all on this panel are still searching. They are entitled to do that. They also are attacking Smriti Irani, and you must not forget, she after all defeated Rahul Gandhi conclusively, comprehensively, completely in every possible in the family borough of Amethi. I mean, of course, they have an axe to grind. They thought that Amethi is the ultimate. ये तो गढ़ है हमारा. अरे गढ़ से ही बेघर हो गए. He had to run to the other end of India, literally at the last corner near the sea. Now imagine if Smriti Irani learns tomorrow and decides to take him on in Wayanad. Where will Mr. Gandhi then next contest his election? I mean, he'll have to find something in the Bay of Bengal or something in the Arabian Sea. So they are of course upset, and I also understand from where to where. They thought that they can sweep through Amethi without any work. She went, worked there, got elected. So obviously it's a great matter of pain for them that they're, always being launched leader. Could it was instead of being launched from Amethi another time, had to get launched from Kerala.
Okay, that's a question. That's a counter question coming away, Lokesh Jindal. Is it because, Lokesh Jindal, one second. Nalin has made a point. Please respond to this. He says it is because Smriti Irani has caused a huge amount of embarrassment to Rahul Gandhi that the opposition is up in arms and is targeting her.
It's a point of
because
fact.
One of the Congress leaders' responses today is that she is not even capable. That was one of the responses that came in.
We do not take Smriti Irani seriously. Before she was appointed the HRD minister, the whole country knew about her academic credentials. In fact, she would have been more acceptable as some form of a minister for culture because she had been an actress before. And now that she is the Minister of Minority Affairs, now I do not know what will be.
That is not fair. That is not fair. No, that is not fair.
Okay.
You can't be speaking words like this, Lokesh, about her being an actress and all that. No. Please, Lokesh, she's a lady. And if she was on TV as a star, we respect that. You've had people also from TV and film. Why you can't say she's an actress, so she should be in culture. That is not correct. It's not. It's sexist also. It's misogynist also. We mustn't. And I'm happy to know that you don't take her seriously because she's the one who defeated Rahul Gandhi. It just shows how seriously you take Rahul Gandhi.
Let me bring in Dr. Shashi
If you think that someone non-serious
Dr. Padmaja, do you endorse that kind of comment from Lokesh Jindal? You are the only lady on the panel. Do you consider that a sexist comment or not? Because I remember when she was given the Textile Affairs Ministry as well, there were some extremely sexist comments that were made by certain members of parliament from a particular state, which referred to cloths, etc. But my point is that does this make a woman minister that much more easy as a target? In the manner of the casual commentary that we're seeing here today?
Let's not get into the debate, Madhavji. We are very proud of all our women ministers. Let me say, we are proud of all our women ministers all over the country, and we are also proud, and you all should be proud, of the only lady chief minister, Mamata Banerjee, the only lady chief minister in this country. Should be proud. Secondly, I found Nalinji gloating over the fact that Rahul Gandhi was defeated by Smriti Irani. Now that gives me an opportunity, Nalinji, that let me gloat too, that Narendra Modi ji and Amit Shah were defeated by Mamata Banerjee in the 2021 elections. When they all came campaigning, the entire country, BJP governments and their ministers, Home Minister and Prime Minister, descended upon West Bengal and Mamata Banerjee defeated them. So I love to gloat over that also.
Okay, quick response. We're almost out of time, madam. You've made your point. Let's get a quick response.
Madhavji, let's not get...
Yeah.
Nalin.
One minute. Dr. Panja, let me respond, Dr. Panja. Till I last checked, neither Narendra Modi ji nor Amit Shah ji have contested from West Bengal. So here's another imaginary victory. You are making Mamta ji a legend in your mind. But in reality, where did they contest the elections? Why don't you get Mamta ji to contest in the coming elections of Gujarat? Let her pick a seat of her choice. If you are so proud of her.
That every day Prime Minister and Amit Shah ji were in Bengal to campaign last year.
How many votes did you get in? How many votes did you get in? And you lost your deposit in 36 out of 40 seats in Goa. For all the hype of Mamta ji's protege, Mahua Moitra ji in Goa. You tell me what happened, Dr. Panja, in Goa. In Goa, the people of Goa were not willing to even listen to what was the story of the Trinamool Congress. I said you're a legend in your own mind.
Regime.
All right. Let's leave it there for the moment. We've had a fairly civil debate by and large, I'd say. I'd like to thank all our panelists for joining us. Nalin Kohli, Ishkaran Bhandari, Feroz Bakht Ahmed, Dr. Shashi Panja and Anurag Bhadoria. Lokesh Jindal stays with us for debate number 2 on the Newshour this evening. And this is, in fact, as far as the education policy of Karnataka is concerned, where the Pythagoras theorem and the apple falling on Newton's head are supposedly fake news. Lessons on Hindu genocide not included in textbooks. These are not my statements, but in fact these are observations that have been made by the Special Education Panel in Karnataka in a bid to introduce a Bharatiya way of education. Now, the Karnataka National Education Policy has listed guidelines while raising questions on the Eurocentric concepts of education. The position paper spoke about how atrocities against Hindus, events like the genocide of Malabar Hindus, genocide of Maharashtrian Brahmins and genocide and exodus of Kashmiri Hindus have never made it to mainstream textbooks. This also talks about their inclusion to learn from history through local communities. This is a document that also highlights the priority to ancient and traditional knowledge. The government of Karnataka believes their bid would help in highlighting the cultural identity of India among students, but the Congress thinks otherwise. Upping its ante on the BJP, Congress has accused them of saffronizing education.
Coming to the certain why they said Hindu genocide is that, we are trying to, that approach, that is a viewpoint of that particular committee is that let us not put the things under the carpet. As long as things are pushed under the carpet, trying to conceal from the public at large, it rakes up again. It leads to unavoidable violence, avoidable bitterness. Let them discuss about them. Because if you read the Arsu Majumdar's history or a R.N. Sharma's history or a Nilkant Shah's history, they are mentioned. But somehow in the late 40s, after independence, some a group of historians, but their own, I don't know why they have done that. They have their own agenda, obviously. They are given a particular interpretation of history, particular interpretation of sciences, civics, etc., which has tried to conceal certain facts from the...
This is an unfortunate thing to see. We are all looking forward the country to grow. They are trying to, in the name of religion, in the name of sentiment, in the name of history, they are trying to saffronize the entire education policy, which is not correct at all. Today the country has to grow. We are a developing country, especially Karnataka and Bangalore, I'll tell you. One of the fastest growing cities in the world. Karnataka is one of the finest state in the country. Why are they doing like these things, and by getting sentiments in place, getting religion in place, trying to take the country backward? It's not right. Fine, we need to know the history. Fine, we should know the truth of people who fought for this country's freedom. We know what is our cultures and all. We should know all those things. But scientific education is most important, and they should have a design in such a way the children have to compete with the entire world of a modern education. This is unfortunate what they're trying to saffronize the education, which is not acceptable to the people of India.
That brings me to the legitimate question that we're asking this evening. Are the recommendations agenda or course correction?
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 2 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
All right, and joining us on the panel, in fact, Mohan Krishna, spokesperson of the BJP, Anurag Naidu, political analyst, Brajesh Kalapa, senior lawyer, Dr. Sumansi Raman, senior journalist, is with us. Lokesh Jindal continues to be with us at the moment. Let me begin with a direct question to Anurag Naidu. Anurag Naidu, now, you know, there are suggestions and there are suggestions, but to come out and say that the Pythagoras theorem is fake news, to come out and say that, you know, the apple falling on Newton's head is fake news. Now, these are going to be slightly bizarre statements that many are going to perceive, because these are not just taught here in India, they're taught globally.
Yeah, I think, Madhav, nobody said that Pythagoras theorem is a fake news or Newton's law is a fake news in absolute sense. What they actually meant is the story behind Pythagoras theorem, on how this Pythagoras theorem was discovered, the story behind Newton's law, that Newton was sitting under a tree and a fruit came and fall under on his head or fall on the ground, and then that's where all that discovery was being made. And Newton is great, and Newton deserves applaud and everything, and the photos of Pythagoras in the textbooks and glorifying images that Pythagoras theorem is everything, and there is nothing called Baudhyana Sutra. We never known anything of that. So that is the main objection. Nobody is saying that our kids should not be taught Newton's law. Our kids should not be taught Pythagoras theorem. Even while we are discussing today, if our interest is towards our kids learning Pythagoras theorem, then we will never be having the discussion. But our interest is made towards the intention and trying to pull the political strings, like one of the Congress spokespersons said. And what else you can expect from a political spokesperson? He's saying saffronization. From where this word saffronization is coming, I don't know, because he should be answering for the last 60 years out of the 75 years. We are celebrating Amrut Mahotsav this year. There was some other government, and naturally the textbooks were made in the first 60 years. So what is the reasoning for that first 60 years? We are not talking about it. And
Let
what
me
we are
begin,
trying to
Sumansi
do today is
Raman.
just trying to politicize.
Sumansi Raman, the point is not to say that this was not to be taught or that is not to be taught, but trying to bring a comparison between aspects of Indian culture and Indian texts that are not imparted in education. That's the argument coming in from Anurag Naidu at this point of time. How do you respond to him, Dr. Raman?
Madhav, I think, we are sort of transcending from the ridiculous now to the absurd. The point is, whether it is the Pythagoras theorem or whether they are Newton's laws, these are about mathematics, these are about science. Now, there is absolutely nothing which prevents a scientist or a mathematician from coming out and disproving these theories or laws by providing valid reasons. Then that is a different issue altogether. But, Pythagoras was not part of our ancient history. Newton happened to be from England, so we should remove all of that. I mean, how much more absurd are we going to go on this particular path? There is a difference between coming up with scientific theories and trying to validate them, trying to get international acceptance for that. You take our great Ramanujam. What did he do? He won international acclaim for his theory on mathematics. India is proud of it. We can go to the world and say, look, the whole world accepted what Ramanujam said. But why are we now getting into this idea of, first saying that Pythagoras theorem is wrong? Why? Why is it wrong? Can somebody can this gentleman tell me why it has been disproved according to the Karnataka textbook committee or whatever? Or can they tell me why Newton's laws are wrong? I mean, what kind of complete madness is this kind of approach?
Well, I didn't begin the debate asking him that, and then he explained his position, so I'm not going to repeat that point. But
what is the position? What is the position? Why is Newton's laws wrong?
He says he has a problem with the story. Let me not get down to specifics because there are a number of points that we have to cover in this debate. Sumansi Raman, I understand your point, and I'm therefore going to ask a question to Mohan Krishna of the BJP. Mohan Krishna, it is one thing to come out and say that you want to address, aspects of history that have not been taught, whether you're talking about what happened in Kashmir, what happened in Malabar, but the question is this, that how far is this going to go? Are you going to even endorse Manusmriti, that is a text that is highly controversial because of what it talks about in terms of treatment and equality of women, about treatment of lower castes? It's been perceived as a casteist test. Why are we seeing now this committee come out and prescribe such a book be taught?
Madhav, it's a fantastic subject you have considered for the discussion today. There are some agenda-driven people who wants to create some kind of controversy by considering this position papers. There are 26 position papers which has been presented to NCF. What is NCF? National Curriculum Framework. And there are about 800 of such papers, out of which Karnataka's papers have been in domain, they are in domain from last 2 months. There was no hue and cry. But all of a sudden, this vested interest, they have taken the interest. Let me explain to you. I have heard about the absurd. I've heard about Mr. Nagaraj Yadav talking, Congress talking. Let me answer to you. Pythagoras theorem you are talking. What is Pythagoras theorem? About 1000 years back, which has been quoted. I am not saying this. This is already there. Pythagoras theorem was found by Bauddha. What is that? Bauddhayana theorem, Pythagoras theorem. This has been put in World Guru of Mathematics Part 9. They can go through. The interpretations have been made. The interpretations have been made in such a way that it has been done by Pythagoras. We are not talking about that. Let us say the papers have been put. It is up to the NCF to consider.
So you want to rename Pythagoras theorem? Is that what you're saying?
Coming to the point, the fact of the matter, we all know.
Attribute Pythagoras theorem. Is that what you're saying, sir?
No, I'm not saying. No, please. Madhav, please leave me. Just give me 1 more minute. After that, you can ask questions.
Quickly make your point, sir. Quickly make your point.
What I am trying to tell you is, we are not saying that. Yes, we are not. We are not here to make the name changes here. We want the Indian culture, Indian originated subjects to be known to the students. How long you want to divide from the people, from the students? You tell me, Madhav. 50 years back, there was a history book that has been taken out by the ideologists for their interest. The same, see, Mughals, say for example, India is an invaded country. It was invaded. We have not invaded any other country. We were under the invasions many times by many people.
Okay.
So that means to say we have to call them emperors and not. We were the slaves always. We are the losers always. We have not done anything for the country. We are the poorest country. Is this the way we have to put the people, students to learn?
Okay, a number of points made over there. Let me bring in now some of the other panelists. Lokesh Jindal, the point that is being made over here, and let me just quickly read out some of the points. These are very brief points which in fact summarize the argument of what Mr. Mohan Krishna is saying. What is being said in this particular paper is that the invaders and colonizers whose narrative of history, culture, philosophy, India, particularly in Karnataka textbooks have been following. The paper lashes out against woke culture as well. It also says that history of great kingdoms like Marathas, Cholas, Vijayanagara, as well as early Kashmir dynasty, Kalingas, Gangas, Gajapatis, Kakatiyas, Ahoms, Seras, Pallavas, Pandyas, Palas, Senas, Pratiharas either get a passing mention or not even that. The crucial role they played in our history must be elaborated. Is there something in principle wrong with such a statement?
Now, if you read the National Curriculum Framework 2005, it very well mentions these dynasties and the work done by them. In fact, there is a whole lot of literature that is based upon the Chola dynasty, the Kakatiyas dynasty, the Senas, the Gurjar Pratiharas, the Yadavas. All these dynasties are mentioned over there. And when this gentleman is talking about that we were never an invaders, then let me tell you, the Cholas, they were the invaders for the entire Southeast Asia. And secondly, when you're talking about historiography, then let me tell you, in the National Curriculum Framework 2005, already right from the Smriti, Stuti literature, not just Manu Smriti, but Yajnavalkya Smriti, Narad Smriti, Katyayan Smriti, all find mentions over there. So there is nothing that is there in the present curriculum framework that is causing some form of indoctrination or biasness towards ancient Indian learning. It's very much there. But the manner in which the propaganda is being done is to promote that everything was from India's origin. Now the historians you are talking about, whether it is A.S. Altekar, whether it is K.P. Jaiswal, whether it is Neelkant Shastri, these are all nationalist school of historiographies. They are very well mentioned in the first chapter itself of the history book that is under the National Curriculum Framework. And it very well demarcates between various schools of historiography. So there is no die-hard need so as to come up with some form of a revision, with some form of a mechanism so as to change the entire nature of Indian education. I would appreciate if the government would come out with more progressive steps, make it more modernized. Yes, you may increase a subject or two so as to revive ancient Indian learning, but trying to prove that everything originated from India would be indoctrination and it will make the society fundamental.
Let me bring in Brajesh Kalapa on that note. Brajesh Kalapa trying to prove that every theorem originated in India will be indoctrination, and that there is already adequate reflection of Indian culture and history of all of these kingdoms that I've mentioned, which this paper says has not been properly reflected. Lokesh Jindal's contention is that that is factually wrong. Where do you stand?
See, Madhav, I have my own views on this, and the views are this, that even Pandit Nehru, when he wrote his Discovery of India, he mentioned Baudhayana, he mentioned Apastamba, he mentioned Katyayana, and he also mentioned that Laplace, who had mentioned the fact that India had a prime role to play in the huge contribution of India to the mathematics of the world. He quotes Laplace, he quotes Danzig, he quotes Hogben, and all of these are professors. And Pandit Nehru mentioned specifically that India had a huge role to play in terms of how its Vedic mathematics was played out. And even today, people genuinely find relief if they are preparing for IIT, JEE, and so on and so forth. If they study Vedic mathematics, and this is a well-known, well-established aspect, and further the fact that there has been a separate school of thought, which is the Jaina mathematics, and which is a takeoff or a root from Vedic mathematics. The point is that why shouldn't we lose out on this extraordinary, fund of knowledge that we have? If there is this fund of knowledge available, certainly we should take it. Where's the difficulty in taking it? But the point is that if this is going to be made a point of contention at all times, then certainly this ancient knowledge that we have is certainly going to be lost, and we should not lose this. For this reason, I support the fact that Vedic mathematics has its own special place, and it has not been given its due place so far. Why not give it now? I have no difficulty in giving it its due place.
Very important. I want Lokesh to respond to that. Lokesh. Yes, I'm coming to you. Suman Siraman, I can see your hand. I'm going to come back to you. I want Lokesh to specifically respond to that. We're going to lose out on this knowledge. Why not share this knowledge with our students is a question that Brajesh Kalapa is asking. Please respond.
Sir, education serves multiple purposes. If you're talking about this knowledge contributing towards research methodologies and development, in such disciplines, there are various avenues available, universities available, which are providing high-tech courses. So there is no dearth of this knowledge getting lost or this knowledge being marginalized. In fact, the government already has well-established platforms so as to promote these knowledges. Now, secondly, when you're talking about small children being made to study everything from Indian origin and trying to be made indoctrinated that everything good originated from India, if in fact there was only a one-way traffic from India to the rest of the world, it has a dangerous trend that we might see. We might see that people might become what Al-Biruni described in the 11th century AD, that for us, there was a closed door for any form of learning from outside, which caused the decadence of the society. What is required is an open mind that is open to criticism also, which is open to acceptance also, and there should be synthesis between thesis and antithesis, which forms the basis of knowledge.
Okay.
So we are never against any form of restrictions upon ancient knowledge. It's a treasure, yes, with us. It must be preserved, it must be promoted, it must be well developed in time to come. But it should not be the sole source of knowledge and information for the future generation to come.
Lokesh Jindal, but where do you come in when in fact you see this policy come out and say that whether it is about the Mopla revolt, whether it is about what happened in Jammu and Kashmir, all of these aspects of our modern life also are not adequately reflected in the curriculum. Isn't that also an issue of concern?
See, Madhav, when I'm talking about the Mopla rebellion as well as what happened in Kashmir, the lesson to be learnt over here is what were the factors, social, economic, political and cultural factors that led to such form of social unrest. And what are the lessons to be learned from these? But there is no form of mechanism for us so as to put blame on this and that and thereby come out with some form of opinion amongst the people that he is to be blamed or she is to be blamed. The curriculum must restrict itself to the social, economic, political and cultural framework within which time and space developments are taking place.
All right. So you're in a sense saying that if we bring out those aspects of what has happened, which is also our lived and shared history, then we would be creating fissures in society. Is that the argument that you're making?
Indian Council of Historical Research already has its own separate division, which looks into these matters, which publishes journals and which researches on these topics, which are included into the framework.
Why should it not be there in the curriculum? Mohan Krishna, do you agree with that? Do you agree with that contention of Mr. Lokesh Jindal that bringing it in will increase fissures in society?
No, absolutely. Absolutely no. Why? For that matter, why the murmuring has to happen between the students that it was something like that? Oh, aisa tha. Oh, vaisa tha. That is not a history. That's not a history what they are reading today. See, look at the way. Look, no, please. Look at.
Please tell me, sir.
Look, no, please listen, Jindal.
Lokesh, you made your point. Now listen to the other side,
what I'm trying to tell you is, what is the problem with these guys? What is the problem with these guys? We have to see the history has been rewritten or some was eroded. Why we are adding that? People, let the students come to know. I will say something to you. Shadrasa is very important. What is Shadrasa? Does any of us know? For that also they are saying that you have to go for research. Why not the students learn that when in the curriculum? What is the problem in that? Let them learn. If they want to advance it, then they can go for research. That is what. Let me ask a question to Lokesh Jindal. Why 35 years you have not then revised this policy? What was your problem then? Just to keep the history? Just to erode the history? See, look, we have to understand one thing. India is a country has given many things to the world. No, please, Mr. Jindal, I have heard you. Please listen. India has given many things to the world. We are not here to get westernized always. We have to give it to the world back again. The time has come for us to give it back to the world. We have done what we have done. Why our students should not know that?
Okay.
Tell me why you are.
All right. Many hands going up. Okay, many hands going up. Let me put that question across to Suman C. Raman. Suman C. Raman, why not revise curricula at regular basis? And also at the same time, if there have been contributions of India, why hide them? Is the contention coming in from Mohan Krishna? Please respond.
Not at all. Nobody is ever saying hide the contributions from famous Indians of the past. Nobody is disputing. The point is, when you start to get involved in maths and science areas and say that what is effectively, may not necessarily be scientifically proven with evidence. For instance, let me take this Vedic mathematics itself. I think Mr. Brijesh Kalapa spoke about that. Now, can Mr. Brijesh Kalapa tell us what is the origin of Vedic mathematics? Are there any documented sources linking them to the Vedas? That itself is questionable. This whole theory of quote-unquote Vedic mathematics dates back to the book by that Bharati Tirtha somewhere in the 60s or something, if I remember right. And that was also published posthumously after he passed away.
Okay.
So I think that you have to understand that a lot
quick response from Brajesh. Brajesh, we're almost out of time. Quick response, please. You've created a doubt you've created a doubt as far as the argument of Brajesh is concerned, and that's the only reason I have to give him a quick response, quick time to respond. 30 seconds, Brajesh. Please respond. Brajesh Kalapa, can you hear me? Or I think we've lost that line there. Anurag Naidu, can you respond to that question very quickly?
Very quick, Madhav. Just a quick rebuttal to Lokesh. He's just peddling NCF, which is a 2005 story. NCF ka zamana gaya. We are in the new education policy era, and everything that the government of Karnataka is doing through this committee is within the framework of new education policy, and it will be central.
Vedic maths linked to Vedas itself is being questioned here by Suman C. Raman, but I'd like to thank all our guests for joining us. Anurag Naidu, Mohan Krishna, Lokesh Jindal, as well as Suman C. Raman and Brajesh Kalapa. I think it's been quite an enriching debate, multiple arguments on different sides. One will of course have to see what ultimately is done by the Karnataka government on this issue. Thanks so much for joining us this evening.
The News Hour at 9 will be right back after the break.
You know, we have a difficult relationship with China. We're perfectly capable of managing it.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. You were watching the News Hour at 9. Stay tuned.
Somewhere Europe has to grow out of the mindset that Europe's problems are the world's problems, but the world's problems are not Europe's problems. If I were to take Europe collectively, which has been singularly silent on many things which were happening, for example in Asia, you could ask why would anybody in Asia trust Europe on anything at all? Look, a lot of things are happening outside Europe. We have, partly because of climate change, for a lot of humanitarian, natural disasters, humanitarian responses. In our part of the world today, a lot of people look to us to help out. The days when they expected Europe to come, which Europe did at the 2004 tsunami. The difference today is nobody's even thinking of that anymore. So the world is changing, new players are coming, new capabilities are coming, but a new agenda must come. The world cannot be that Eurocentric as it used to be in the past. You know, we have a difficult relationship with China. We're perfectly capable.
Good evening and welcome. You're watching News Hour Agenda. I'm Padmaja Joshi. In the last 2 days, our national emblem, which was unveiled on top of the new Parliament building, has made more news than perhaps in all of the last 75 years. The reason, and the latest reason in fact, is an objection to the portrayal of our national emblem. In addition to allegation that its design has been changed, the more specific charge is that it has been made muscular, aggressive, snarling, basically nasty. Purportedly, this new aggression is because of Sanghification or Godsification of the emblem. Basically, that Sanghis and people like Godse are the ones who are dictating the design element of this new emblem. So what's the difference in the look? Here is what has been pointed out. One is that in the new emblem, or the emblem that has been made on top of the Parliament building, the lions are seen baring their teeth, that they look unnecessarily aggressive, also hyper-muscular, very sinewy. Or as the TMC Member of Parliament said, snarling, unnecessarily aggressive and disproportionate. This is in contrast to the earlier depiction of the emblem that was calm, that was happy, almost smiling.
All these emblems, sign emblems, they all had been thoroughly discussed, and after that they had been established, they had been finalized by the successive leadership in last 70 years. So I think any kind of tampering in these symbols or these Rashtriya Pratik should not be done.
Now, on the back of this, it is being said that this act is anti-national and is a violation of the State Emblem of India Act. That is, by the way, the more logical argument. The political argument is a whole different story. That argument is that this is hyper-nationalism post-2014, where everything is aggressive, it's violent, it's snarling. It's not about your calm head of state, the statesman. It's somebody who is out to be carnivorous. And that all of this has been thrust upon a presumably peace-loving lion so far.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Shazia Almi, National Spokesperson of the BJP, is here with us. Professor Hiralal Prajapati, Dean at the Faculty of Visual Arts in Banaras Hindu University. Syed Faisal Ali, Senior Leader of the RJD. Sanjay Jha, Author and Suspended Congress Leader. My first question is actually to a professor. Professor Manojit Mandal, Spokesperson of the Trinamool Congress. Professor Mandal, how do you like your lions?
No, first of all, do you mean to say that there is no change from what was done in 1950 and now?
So we'll come to that, and for that we have an actual professor. I think I am not an authority.
No, that is the fundamental.
Professor Prajapati is the authority on that. I'll have him answer that question. My fundamental question to you is,
any change?
How do you like your lions? You like happy lions, yes. You like calm lions, you like lions in their leisure time, you like thoughtful lions. You are statesman-like lions. How do you like your lions?
We like the lion. Yeah, I'll answer. If you give me time and to my party, I'll definitely answer. We like the lion and the national emblem the way it was designed by Dinanath Bhargava under the supervision of the biggest nationalist painter in India by the name of Nandalal Bose. Now, if you ask me to introduce who Nandalal Bose was, then I should not be on your debate, right? That's the way we'd like a lion in India, and that's the way we'd like the national emblem.
Okay.
We would like a national emblem.
So you would like your emblem like it was in 1950?
No, let me finish. Okay,
Yes.
Yes. Do you mean to say?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you mean to say that Jawaharlal Nehru and his cabinet was wrong? That included S.P. Mukherjee as well.
I said none of that.
You mean to say that they were wrong in adopting this kind of a lion?
Of course it had S.P. Mukherjee. What happened afterwards?
Who are you to say? I never said that. Question.
You are putting words in my mouth. If you want to go into what happened to Shyama Prasad Mukherjee and what he said about Kashmir, since you are quoting Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, that we'll go into a different territory altogether. So let's leave Shyama Prasad Mukherjee out of it.
The BJP, let them answer the question.
Exactly.
Whether the 1950 government that included S.P. Mukherjee also, they were right, or this government is right.
But
whether
the argument right now is that the two are exactly the same. What is the difference according to you? Are you saying that the 1950 lion was a happy lion and this one is the aggressive lion?
You don't even allow us to speak. Why do you even call us?
So you just spoke for 2 minutes.
My party?
What is the difference between the two lions?
But you are speaking in between.
What is the difference?
So there is no difference?
I'm asking you.
You don't perceive a difference from the beginning, from the morning till now, even in the last debate. The BJP representative was saying this is different lion, this is new lion.
Sir, I'm asking for your opinion.
Actually, commensurate.
What is the difference according to you?
Our opinion is amply clear, given by. And you don't understand English? Should I speak in Bangla?
You are free to.
This was made by one greatest painter of all time in India. Should I speak in Bangla?
Well, you are welcome to. But that being said, I would be happy if even in Bangla you answered my question. What is the difference?
Wrong depiction of the what is your problem, madam? What is your problem? You want to insult my party?
No, sir. I will respectfully decline.
Depiction of the 1950 emblem conceived of and designed by Dinanath Bhargava under an able supervision of Nandalal Bose.
Okay.
That's
what is the difference?
Point. It is a wrong depiction. It does not describe what they thought about.
How? What is the difference,
sir? If you can't perceive, then you only have the proper vision in India. All of us do have.
Sir, I'm saying you have the best vision in India. Help me.
Only you have the proper.
What is the difference? In fact, I'm saying you have the best 4x4 vision over here. What is the difference?
You can't make the distinction. You can't make the distinction between.
I'm having a difficulty, so I'm seeking your able guidance.
This picture on your screen.
What is the difference?
You can't make the distinction between these pictures. That's what. So there is no difference.
I'm asking for your help. You're a professor, sir. Help us out. Help us understand what is the difference.
We have been saying this. Our honorable MP has made it clear. Look at this. This is more aggressive. It talks about pouncing on something. Unlike the old one, which they called Dilip Ghosh. I'm quoting Dilip Ghosh. Dilip Ghosh called that was an old lion. This is a new lion in commensurate with Modi's image. Dilip Ghosh said this on national TV.
Okay, right? Let me bring in Professor Hiralal Prajapati now. Professor Prajapati, I have side by side now what is the original emblem that was there at Sarnath and what has been kept here according to the new Parliament building. Sarnath and Parliament building. The minister in charge says it's a question of scale. Both pictures are there in front of you. Can you please comment if it's only a scale or is there a change in character?
क्या मैं हिंदी में बात कर लूं?
बिल्कुल, please.
सारनाथ का जो सिंह स्तंभ शीर्ष है वो एक तो बलुए पत्थर का बना हुआ है, पॉलिश्ड है और उसकी साइज 3 फीट से कुछ थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा होगा और ये 6.5 मीटर का है। तो टेक्निकली ये देखा जाए तो ये मटेरियल का भी डिफरेंस है और जो पर्सपेक्टिव जो है, अगर हम पर्सपेक्टिव से उसी जो सारनाथ का जो हमारा सिंह शीर्ष है तो उसको अगर हम देखें तो वो अलग, अगर हम पर्सपेक्टिव के टॉप व्यू से, एरियल व्यू से देखें और साइड से देखें और बॉटम से व्यू से देखें तो निश्चित रूप से उसमें वो अलग दिखाई देगा। जो टीवी पे हम लोगों ने देखा, जो व्यू देखा, उसको अगर हम उसको साइज के हिसाब से प्रॉपर डिस्टेंस बना के उसको देखें और ज़मीन से अगर देखें तो जो प्रोपोर्शन हमें सारनाथ के सिंह में मिलता है वो हमें वहाँ पे भी दिखाई देगा। ये हम कह सकते हैं कि कलाकार ने जो उसका मैकेट लिया है, जो उसका सारनाथ का जो मॉडल लिया है, उसको ज़रूर उसको नाप करके उसको जो स्कल्पचर बनाने का जो प्रोसेस है साइज बाय साइज वो उसको करके उन्होंने बड़ा किया है और बड़ा करने के बाद उसको बनाया है और मेटल में कास्ट किया है। तो ये हम समझ सकते हैं कि जब हम अचानक किसी नए मीडियम में उसका रूपांतरण हम देखते हैं, ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन देखते हैं, तो वो निश्चित रूप से जो है वो नया दिखता है, लेकिन हमें उसको देखने के लिए अपने नज़रिया को बदलना पड़ेगा और इतना ही कहना चाहेंगे।
सर, नजरिया बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट शब्द आपने यूज किया, पर्सपेक्टिव और रादर व्हाट इज द थॉट। नाउ आर यू सेइंग, ये बेसिकली मेरे हाथ में भी जो अभी सारनाथ वाला जो एम्ब्लम है वो है जो अभी म्यूजियम में लिखा हुआ है, रखा हुआ है। आप ये कह रहे हैं कि अभी हम इसको फ्रंट से देख रहे हैं, अगर हम इसको नीचे से देखेंगे तो ये भी ऐसा लगेगा कि ये दहाड़ता हुआ है।
बिल्कुल वो जो शेर है हमारा, वो चारों दिशाओं में एक जो गर्जना करते हैं उस भाव का है, और उसके साथ सर्वधर्म समभाव की भी बात है। और नीचे जिस तरीके से हाथी, घोड़ा और दूसरे और जानवर को लिया गया है, तो वो एक पूरी सामाजिक समरसता को दिखाता है, और उस भावना को हमें संप्रेषित करने के लिए सोचना चाहिए, और उन पे हमें विचार करना चाहिए कि क्या हम अपने देश की इस गौरवमयी संस्था और संसद को एक विश्व की धरोहर के रूप में हम दुनिया को दिखाने जा रहे हैं, तो वहाँ कम से कम इस मुद्दे पे हमारी बहस नहीं होनी चाहिए।
So professor to professor, Professor Mandal, you just heard Professor Prajapati. आप जादवपुर यूनिवर्सिटी में हैं, वो बनारस हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी में है। उन्होंने साफ साफ कह दिया कि भाई ये था 1950 में, इट इज ओनली अ क्वेश्चन ऑफ वेयर यू लुक एट इट फ्रॉम। आप सामने से देखेंगे आपको बहुत खुश दिखाई देगा, आप नीचे से देखेंगे आपको स्नार्लिंग लगेगा। इसेंशियली द स्ट्रक्चर इज द सेम, इट्स द पर्सपेक्टिव एंड द स्केल।
अरे सिंपल, अरे आई हैव अंडरस्टूड, दैट मच ऑफ हिंदी आई अंडरस्टैंड। तो सामने से एक तस्वीर लेके दिखा दीजिए, दोनों एक ही है। नीचे से क्यों देखते हो? दोनों को सामने से देख के दिखा दीजिए ना, आपके पास तो कैमरा है। दोनों का सामने, जैसे आपको नीचे नहीं, ऊपर नहीं, साइड नहीं, सामने से तस्वीर लेके दोनों को दिखा दीजिए। आपका अगर अलग नहीं दिखेगा तो हम मान जाएंगे। सर देखिए, ये नजरे का सवाल नहीं है। ये सारनाथ टेम्पल में जो बना है वो भी उनका क्लोजेस्ट कॉपी था, जिन्होंने बनाया था। आपको शायद मालूम हो, आप तो आर्टिस्ट हो ना, जिसने बनाया था, जिसके सुपरविजन में बनाया था, आपको मैं वो कह रहा हूं, द पर्सन वाज मेकिंग इट, he was also observing the characteristics of lion for 1 month in Calcutta Zoo. That was again under the instruction of Nandalal Bose. He used to go to Shantiniketan from Kolkata to Shantiniketan,
and that is exactly what the person, the artist Sunil Deore, right? Did exactly that. Yeah, he saw the Sarnath capital as well.
Your problem.
And he did an exact replica. He spoke to us, and I will just play out what he said.
Yeah, fine. Can I say something?
Yes.
He can say that if the behavior of lion has now changed, lion was less aggressive at that point of time in 1950. Now it has become more aggressive. Then good luck to the present artist. He may be bigger artist than Nandalal Bose or Dinanath Bhargav. For your kind information, the person lived till 2016.
Well, Professor Prajapati, you know, and I say this with the greatest of respect, sir. A lion is a carnivorous animal. If we are still in doubt about the levels of aggression of a lion, then I don't know what really are we doing sitting on national TV. All educated people, national party representatives actually debating, saying the levels of aggression of a lion. It's a carnivorous animal. What do you expect it to do? A carnivorous animal will snarl. Quick response from Professor Prajapati, and then I want to bring in Shazia Ilmi. What do you think lions in 1950 were doing? Sir, they were eating grass and doing Rabindra Sangeet.
जी, नंदलाल बोस ने जो लाइन ड्राइंग किया है, और तो वो निश्चित रूप से आर्टिस्ट के रूप में उन्होंने ऑब्जर्व करके किया है, और उनका सम्मान करते हैं, और उसको संसद ने बिल्कुल गरिमा के साथ स्वीकार किया है। तो ये जो मेरा सिर्फ यही कहना है कि ये जो एक नए रूप में, बड़े रूप में जो ये चीज़ें आई हैं, और उसको हम सही एंगल से हम देखें, और जैसा आप कह रहे हैं कि उसके कई एंगल से फोटोग्राफ करके। लेकिन मेरा ये कहना है कि जिस तरीके से हम सारनाथ म्यूजियम में आई लेवल पे हम देखते हैं, उस तरीके से हमें उस मूर्ति का भी आई लेवल पर्सपेक्टिव जो है वो हमें देखना चाहिए। और हम समझते हैं कि उसमें अंतर नहीं है। फिर भी ये कलाकार जो है कृति, उसकी अपनी कृति है, और उसने जो है उसको अनुकरित किया है, तो उस हिसाब से हम समझते हैं कि ये चीज़ें जो है अच्छा एक पहल है, और उसमें किसी दुर्भावना के तहत जैसा विपक्ष को लगता है, दुर्भावना।
ओके, दुर्भावना, that is the other charge, that this is basically दुर्भावना, Shazia Ilmi, that you are reimagining everything. And the reason why I say this is because in the last 8 years, this is not the first example. I remember there was also the angry Hanuman, then there was the angry Ram, that why is Hanuman so angry after Modi came into power? Then Ramji also got angry. Then people said that Jai Shri Ram, which was a peaceful cry, now it is a hate cry, it is weaponized. Of late, we also heard that Hindu lives matter is a dangerous cry, it's a dangerous slogan. And now finally we have an angry lion also. Everything is angry since 2014, Shazia. Why is everyone so angry?
Yes, and imagine the lion has just changed his character and the leopards have just changed his spots, because earlier apparently they were peaceful herbivores. So the new things are happening, you know, ever since Modi ji has come to power. So I'm also amused to know that, you know, lions now have those, they used to be bovine indeed, if you were to believe the TMC professor slash politician. But that's another story. And I don't take that too seriously. Now, as my friend, my very angry friend, not so bovine, in fact, just said that this is a great tribute to the great artist Nandlal Bose-ji, who insisted on studying the pattern of lions, which is why Dinanath ji, Bhargav ji used to go every day to Kolkata from Shantiniketan and study the mannerism and the countenance and the activities of lions. And this is one thing. And second thing is, we know a lion does what a lion does. We all know that. Please do not school us about the lion's behavior. Second thing is that about angles. Padmaja, you would know, and most people now know, I think kids know about what is a low angle in the spatial world. What does a picture look like when you are standing below, standing on the top? One is a overhead shot. What is a you know, low angle shot or a high angle shot? What is an aerial shot? So if you were to show a lion standing atop the Parliament building, to which itself everybody had a huge opposition, and you know, people were crying about some imaginary jamun trees which nobody could place at that point of time. And of course there were these great artists and like lords and sirs, Anish whatever Kapoor's, you know, from Doon School and all, who were saying that it was a Mughal parliament. I mean, they were so off everything, hilariously so.
So you're saying that the two are absolutely the same. Professor Mandal doesn't agree with that. They are saying that this one is snarling. Earlier the mouth was closed, but this one is snarling. You can see its teeth.
I'm not just saying that. I'm not just saying that. I'm saying more. I'm saying more. I'm saying when you see something of this massive size and look at the scalability of this project, first, I'm happy that all of them are interested in participating. They're feeling left out. So I'm really happy that you've lauded and you want to be a part of this effort.
Okay, this is a question of scale, Sanjay Jha, because the original Sarnath emblem, and since the comparison is being made between the two.
Thank you, Manojit.
Okay, 1.6 meters high, and the emblem on top of the Parliament building is 6 times bigger, 6.5 meters high. So one, it is about the perspective, you are looking up, and the second, it is the sheer scale.
They don't meow.
Okay, and the lions don't meow anyway. Yes, Sanjay Jha. Perspective and scale.
Yes.
Yeah, my short answer to you, Padmaja, will be this, that you should never try and tamper, modify, amend, or erase history. Now, you know, end of day, this is not about a synthetic attempt to try and, you know, kind of transmogrify the national emblem. This is symbolic. And I think, you know, somewhere down the line, you know, let us not treat this as just a cosmetic, you know, adjustment being done. You know, the truth be said, if you look at the track record of Mr. Modi's government, and I'm putting this discussion in a larger context, they have tried to modify textbooks. We all know how they change names of cities and monuments and roads. There is an attempt, a very orchestrated attempt. You heard what Mr. Amit Shah said the other day, that history needs to be rewritten. What Mr. Shah and the BJP and the RSS don't know, that you cannot rewrite history. You have to actually
rewriting history. It is still the Ashok Stamp. It is still the lion. It's not like they put Modi ji's face over there.
No, let me answer. You know, I would go back by the statement made by the BJP leaders themselves. Now, I hadn't heard of what Mr. Ghosh said as Mr. Mondal, I think with full responsibility, has quoted him. But, you know, when you have BJP leaders saying that this is the new muscular macho avatar of the Prime Minister, I think shames this country. You know, Prime Ministers will come and go, political parties will come and go, but India is forever. And I would only request Shazia and everybody from the BJP to take a deep breath and realize that, hang on, you know, you can do whatever you like. You can appoint people to change textbooks. You can tell the children.
How is this a change, sir? The simple point is you are saying, oh, this land has been made in the mold of Mr. Modi because he's macho and muscular. What were lions earlier? Were lions always, I don't know about macho, but definitely muscular, unless, of course, it's lean season.
Padmaja, I am not saying that. I just quoted what Mr. Mondal said is what the BJP leaders are saying. So you need to ask that question of Shazia Ilmi. My larger point here, and this is what I want to quit at, is that the BJP is destroying
you ought to be ashamed of yourself that there have been untold stories about so many heroes of India that have been systematically and as deliberately kept out.
And a civilized
But I have nothing. Okay, one by one, Shazia Almi, because you know, when you're talking about rewriting history, here's the thing. As somebody was remarking earlier in our newsroom, a colleague actually said, since you're talking about what is the trend of the BJP so far, because we're sitting here discussing a controversy, which, let's face it, most people are looking at as extremely facile, the comparison made was, this almost seems like a deja vu of what happened with the Jallianwala Bagh memorial, where the entire memorial was falling to pieces, but the moment somebody came in to redo it, it's like you're rewriting history. But that history has gone to the dogs. That place was in shambles, but apparently to redo it and honor it is to rewrite history. Yeah. Now here is the entire parliament area, and you know, generally the buildings there, they were in a state of disrepair. You're trying to redo them and you're building the emblem exactly in the image, we are told, of what was there at Sarnath. And suddenly it's about rewriting history. How? How is it rewriting?
Okay, let me answer you. Restoration work on historical monuments are a regular work in progress all over the world. You know, I mean, whether you go to UK, India, of course, you go to the US, any part of the world, go to Europe, they are constantly doing restoration work. But restoration also has a respect for maintaining the intrinsic inherent character of the monument that you are trying to maintain. If you destroy that, you basically quintessentially.
But here's the thing, Parliament is not a monument. Parliament is a living administrative space. To say that, you know, you have to restore the monument, in fact, now it's going to be turned into a monument with you actually having a museum there. Parliament is not a monument.
No, I'm talking about the national emblem. I'm talking about everything that this government has done. Please remember, okay, there are BJP leaders who have walked to the Taj Mahal, who want to change the Qutub Minar. You know, it is a larger ecosystem at work. The infrastructure of Hindutva has a different game.
But how? Okay, very respectfully, how? What does this have to do with Hindutva again? Again, anything that we are discussing, suddenly we slip in Hindutva and it becomes a logical argument. What does this have to do with Hindutva? And if you actually want to talk about Hindutva, I'll quote to you a small innocuous detail. This is how the pillar was in Sarnath. Very quickly, since we're talking about Hindutva, you know, very interesting detail. This is how the capital was at the Ashoka pillar in Sarnath. You see this, it was sitting atop a lotus. Eventually, when it was made an emblem for us in 1950, the lotus was replaced. So, I mean, if we really had to get into that space, we could say that this was anti-Hindutva. Why did you remove the lotus? But that's pointless. This is just the imagery. You had a lotus here. Now you don't have a lotus. Instead, you have a pillar, a plinth there which says Satyameva Jayate. And it stays there. Satyameva Jayate is there.
Padmaja, you're missing the woods for the trees. What have I said to you today? Over the last 8 years, the BJP and the RSS are trying to erase and modify and destroy India's history. And people today treat them with cynicism and skepticism for the same reason.
Okay, so your track record goes against you, Shazia Almi. You're always trying to rewrite history and India's images and India's emblems.
No, that's in his mind. No, I cannot see. I can only talk factually. I cannot fight with demons in the mind and hallucinations. I cannot. I can only answer fact to fact. If something is going on in Mr. Sanjay's mind, and if there's certain kind of demons or hallucinations that he sees, I cannot argue there. Maybe certain specialized community can answer that, but I cannot do that, right? I can only see what I can see. I can only hear what I can hear. I'm not seeing apparitions. So I'm not equipped to answer that, right? All I'm saying is Sarnath temple and the Ashok Stambha stood for something. And just like it does right now. In fact, it is the BJP which brings back the glory of this tribute of this great artist back on this new parliament building, which was asked for by Jay Ram.
How is your point proven?
8 years back, which was opposed by all and sundry, and made a big tamasha.
How do you say your point has been proven, Sanjay Jha? Just a second. Let me have a quick rebuttal. Sanjay Jha.
What did she say? The BJP is right. Did you hear what she said? The BJP is trying to restore India's political glory. Madam, the BJP has barely been in power and you might be out of it in 2024. Take a deep breath. This country has been made by leaders. And by the way, you had no contribution to the freedom movement.
Take a deep breath. Sir, you need help.
Take a deep breath. Where were you before 1947? Tell the viewers.
I never said BJP is restoring.
Where were you before 1947? Tell the viewers.
No, I cannot. I'm not equipped.
Who are you to comment on India's history? You have no legitimate bona fide right to speak on India's history.
Okay, all right. Let's just all take a deep breath because I want to bring in Syed Faisal Ali. Syed Faisal Ali, the other thing that is being said that this is a violation of the Emblem Code, and as some people said, ये anti-national है क्योंकि आपने Emblem Code को violate किया है. Actually, the Emblem Code says this. It doesn't say anything about कि उनका मुंह खुला होना चाहिए या बंद होना चाहिए और 2 दांत होने चाहिए या 4 दांत होने चाहिए. Here is what the Emblem Code says. It's fairly short. It's just 6 pages. It says, subject to the provisions of this act, the central government shall have powers to notify the use of the emblem on stationery, etc., and to specify the design of the official seal consisting of the emblem. They just say the government can specify the design. And the argument, not just of the government, but the actual architect, the designer who has cast it and put it up there is that this is the model that I saw, this is the model that I used. पहले उन्होंने ये फोटो देखी, उसके बाद उन्होंने एक मॉडल बनाया और उस मॉडल से उन्होंने स्केल अप किया. Then what is the change now? What is the furor about?
See, if there is no change, Padmaja, then what we are debating? The change is very apparent. The change is very apparent and swift.
Sir, we are debating that why are we looking for change? Why are we chasing shadows where there are none?
Angry.
We are looking at rewriting of history where there is none.
Yes, I heard your question. Let me answer.
Yes.
No, let me address. The change is very apparent and obvious, and that is why we are debating the issue. The adaptation of this Sarnath lion capital by Bose and was depicting lions in a pleasing, serene and responsible manner.
Pleasing
now,
lion.
The depiction of the same lion or the new avatar of the lion capital in which we see, yes, of course, these words have been used. And now the responsible
where?
Lion. And now the lion.
And how can a lion be pleasing and serene?
Aggressive. So the guiding principle beneath it was Satmev Jayate. Satmev Jayate. Truth alone triumphs. Now
correct.
It seems that the government shift is from truth alone triumphs to lions alone triumphs. That is very clear. And if this shift, if this has been done deliberately, then we all must worry.
But what does Satyamev Jayate have to do with this?
There is some
Satyamev Jayate still remains on our emblem, but I again can't understand. Where does it say that the perspective of the lion has to be pleasing and calm?
They have not only,
very respectfully, sir, when are lions ever pleasing?
They have not only tampered with, See. If you mean to say, if you are raising the question,
in fact,
if you are raising a question over the wisdom of the entire Constituent Assembly, then I can't answer.
No. I'm trying to understand, where does it say that in the emblem the lion has to be pleasing and calm?
That the government... Does it say that you can tamper with the original design? Does it say that?
But sir, that is the entire bedrock of the argument that the tampering is imagined more than real.
The basic thing is that See, if it is imaginary, I take your point. If it is imaginary, and if you think that the angle has done a lot of things to ignite this controversy, let us send your team. Let us send the team of Times Now cameramen and show the pictures from all different angles. See, angles can't change the expression of a picture or a portrait. That should be very clear.
So we actually have pictures of the same what has been unveiled from all angles. We literally have it. We have it from perspective. We have it from the left side. We have it from the right side. Here it is. It's on your screen right now, sir.
Yes. I have. See. I am not talking. No, they are completely different. They are completely different. They are completely different, and even you can see it, Padmaja.
Okay, sir.
I don't know what is your compulsion.
It wasn't up to me. Like I said, in the end, all of you are politicians. There is one person here who is a professor, who is from the Faculty of Visual Arts, and I would still like for him to have the final word on the very limited issue, Professor Prajapati, जो कि कह रहे हैं कि आपके ऐसे दांत जो दिख रहे हैं, वो दांत पहले और अभी में क्या फर्क है, और वो दांत क्यों दिख रहे हैं? आई थिंक सबसे ज्यादा उसी में प्रॉब्लम हो रही है कि वो ऐसे दहाड़ रहा है और उसमें वो ऐसे मुस्कुरा रहा है. पहले मुस्कुरा रहे थे सारे शेर, अब दहाड़ रहे.
नहीं, ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है. शेर अभी भी मुस्कुरा रहा है और उसकी चिंता है चारों दिशाओं की, अपने पूरे देश के ग्लोबल उसमें जो है वो देखना चाह रहा है. ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है कि उसके दांतों से वो है. फिर से उसको देखना चाहिए, निश्चित रूप से देखना चाहिए, लेकिन जो बनाया गया है उसमें उस फीलिंग को समझना चाहिए, भावनाओं को लेना चाहिए, और उसके जो एम्बलम का जो हमारा खास मैसेज है उस मैसेज को हमें कन्वे करना चाहिए और उसको फ्लोरिश होने देना चाहिए.
Okay, I'm going to just leave it at that. See, the thing is, it's going to be there for the public. If you think it looks disconcerting and aggressive and suddenly you feel full of anger and outrage, well, then maybe it's not so much about the emblem, but too many TV debates that you're watching. For the time being, I'll let that go. Thanks very much, all gentlemen, Shazia Elmi, for joining me. 5 days ago, Women and Child Development Minister Smriti Irani took additional charge of the ministry that was vacated by Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, the Ministry for Minority Affairs. The choice of replacement was today questioned by the Trinamool Congress MP Jawahar Sarkar, asking why a hardcore Hindu has been put in charge of welfare of a ministry that largely deals with minorities, Christians and Muslims. He put the BJP's idea of secularism in the dock. Other opposition parties also climbed onto the bandwagon, doubting not just Smriti Irani's religious beliefs, but even her credentials. They asked if she were even a competent person to hold the portfolio. The question is, a politician who was called a giant slayer for defeating Rahul Gandhi, who's held some of the most prominent ministries in the last 8 years, the Human Resource Development Ministry, Women and Child Development, Textiles. Should it be her competence that decides whether she heads a ministry, or should it be the community that she comes from?
आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के मंत्रिमंडल में एक भी अल्पसंख्यक कोटे से मंत्री नहीं बचे नकवी जी के जाने के बाद. तो यही दिखाता है कि सरकार की मानसिकता क्या है, सोच क्या है.
The opposition's idea that an Indian should be a minority in their own country, what does that tell you? Is not every Indian equal? Is not every Indian having the right to be equally respected? It is our constitutional responsibility to ensure that we serve all, appease none.
The minorities of this country has got its own specific problems, where the people hailing from that communities really have gone through this problem. They'll understand. Abbas Naqvi was there and he was trying to understand things, but I don't understand what type of a game they are playing around. We need an expertise in all these things. Decisions are taken in such a way, the people who don't even know what is minorities issues are, people are not even cannot understand what is linguistic minority, what is religious minorities. They can't understand what exactly the problems minorities are going through.
किसी व्यक्ति के सामने तर्कों की कंगाली हो जाती है तो वो कुतर्कों का मवाली बन जाता है. अब उन कुछ लोगों की दिक्कत यही है, तर्कों की कंगाली उनको कुतर्कों का मवाली बना देती है. और इसमें जो है वो कौन सी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बाध्यता है कि जो अल्पसंख्यक मंत्रालय है तो अल्पसंख्यक ही मंत्री होगा, महिला मंत्रालय है तो कहेंगे महिला ही मंत्री होनी चाहिए। ऐसा होता है क्या?
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
The interesting thing though is that this particular objection has opened a whole lot of questions. Who should be at the head of a ministry? What should be their competence? What even is the definition of a minority anymore when we're talking about a minority affairs minister? Let me first start with you, Syed Faisal Ali, senior leader of the RJD. Let me quickly introduce, in fact, Professor Mandal, Shazia Ilmi, all continuing with us. We are joined by Dr. Syed Rizwan Ahmed, who is a lawyer. We'll also be joined by Syed Aslam Pasha, spokesperson of JDS, in a bit. So, Syed Faisal Ali, किसी का भी ministry के head में होना, what is the qualification? Should it be your religion or should it be your competence?
I asked one question, Padmaja. Why Ministry of Minority Affairs was carved out in 2006? What was the objective of creating this Minority Affairs Ministry? First, we must understand the basic objective of this ministry when it was taken out from Social Justice and Empowerment Ministry in 2006.
Okay.
It was done just to focus on 6 notified minorities of the countries, namely Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Parsis and Jains. What has been done today, that a person from this government has failed to choose one person from these 6 communities, which means that they have no one from this 6 community who can be made Minister of Minority Affairs.
Okay.
You are putting question on the competence of these communities people, first. Secondly, it is a well understood fact that a person from the community knows much more better about his community situation, his community's needs, his community's likes and dislikes than someone sitting on the other side.
Is that correct?
That is perhaps the reason that from 2006 let me finish, Padmaja. That is why from 2006...
I mean, with due respect, sir, the Taliban are not really ruling Afghanistan very well. They might know best what is great for their community, but it's fair to say that Muslims are not very happy under the Taliban.
Please, I can debate with you on Taliban. I can debate with you on Taliban because I have worked in Afghanistan for years. And I have worked in
That's great.
Iraq also.
But your argument saying that a person from the community knows what's best for his community doesn't really hold then, sir.
Please. Yes, if not, then why this government, when appointing ministers from certain categories, scheduled tribes and scheduled caste and Mauryas, they were putting hoardings all over the Delhi that they have brought in people from the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes? Why this government, the last expansion of the Modi cabinet, when people from some backward communities were taken into the cabinet, the entire government was gaga about bringing in people from other communities.
Okay.
And they were giving the same argument that they know better their community than others.
All right. So answer this, Dr. Okay, that is the hypocrisy, Dr. Syed Rizwan Ahmed, that when you say Draupadi Murmu will be the best representative for tribals because she's a tribal lady and she's been made presidential candidate, then a Muslim should be made Minority Affairs Minister.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram. No one said no one said that Draupadi ji, our future president, will be the best representative for tribals. No, she is just chosen from them. And to emphasize that the government takes everyone along. That is all. I don't think so that the president, once she takes the oath or when she sits on this chair, she will represent of any particular community, number one. Number two, Padmaja, Indian secularism is not about Amar Akbar Anthony. We should come out from this idea of 1970s and 80s that to show secularism, we had to show 3 children, 1 Amar, 1 Akbar and 1 Anthony. Okay. Number 3, by this yardstick, that gentleman said that the Muslim will understand the problems or the minority will understand the problems of the minority well. See, the minority comes under the Prime Minister, the minority comes under the Chief Minister. So by this yardstick, a Hindu Chief Minister in totality won't understand the problems of the minority of his state. And the Prime Minister, if he's a Hindu, by this same yardstick, he won't understand the problems of minorities in this country.
He has no argument. What he is talking about?
So thereby it means we should have a... What? What? I am saying a simple thing. Hear me out. When you were speaking, I was not disturbing you. Have patience. I expect you are an educated man. Have patience.
I did not use the word Muslim, which you are taking in my mouth.
Last but not the least,
I said anyone from the minority community, not necessarily.
I'm not putting in your mouth. I'm putting in my mouth, man. I'm putting in my mouth. I'm not putting in your mouth.
Minority community.
I'm putting in my mouth.
This is what you said.
I am putting in my mouth now.
Padmaja.
I'm not putting in your mouth.
Okay, okay, please, one by one. Yes.
I'm putting in my mouth. Hold on, man.
That a Muslim should be minority affairs minister. No.
Hold on, man.
Okay, no, his logic, sir, with due respect, what he is saying, Syed Faisal Ali, all this while we've been told that basically in this government, you do not have the BJP understanding minorities, whether they are Muslims, Hindu, Parsi, whatever. Jawaharlal Nehru is upheld as the symbol of secularism, who did the best there was possible. Gandhi ji is upheld, the symbol of secularism. Both of them were Hindus, practicing Hindus. Going by your logic, both of them should not have been able to understand the concerns of minorities at all. If every community only understands their own concerns. So please answer that, sir. Let Rizwan Ahmed finish his point. Yes, Rizwan Ahmed, finish your point.
Can I complete, Padmaja?
Yes, please finish your point, Dr. Ahmed. Yes.
And my last point, let me tell you, Padmaja, when I was as a student writing my PhD in Muslim personal law and criminal justice system of India, you know, I will surprise you that I came across about 20 rulings of the Honorable Supreme Court where they were interpreting the Quran and the Hadith. And I tell you with all the conviction to what I studied and a little wisdom I have, that the Supreme Court, the Hindu judges of the Supreme Court were interpreting the Quran and the Hadith far better than Maulanas, Alims, and even educated men of this country. The Hindus of the Supreme Court were interpreting the Quran better.
You are completely off the track.
Syed Aslam Pasha. So if communities can understand each other, then prime ministers who are Hindus never understood Muslims or other minorities? Why should it apply only to a ministry? It should apply to the head of government.
Why is he speaking in between?
Padmaja,
this is not Afghanistan.
By the merit
this is India.
of
Behave in the debate here.
Sir, can I speak now? Sir, thank you so much. You've got your turn. You spoke. We heard you patiently. Now allow us to speak. Thank you so much.
No, I didn't get my turn.
The caption of Sabka Saath and Sabka Vikas is absolutely diluted by not having a representation in the entire BJP of 396 MPs. It doesn't have a single MP who's a Muslim, right? And let me give you the facts and figures of minority. India as a country has a population of more than 130 crores, of which 19% of the population is minority. And of this 19%, 73% of this minority population belongs to the Muslim community. Now, having said that, in this vast country, vast, diverse, we believe in the unity in diversity. In this entire vast country, we didn't have one representation from the minority community to represent this ministry. It is absolutely not fair.
You know, actually, Syed Aslam Pasha, why should you be asking only for a Muslim or any minority to head minority affairs? You should instead be saying, why isn't the Home Minister or any minister, Women and Child Development Minister, Textiles Minister, Power Minister, Petroleum Minister, why are you actually specifying or satisfied with, अच्छा मुसलमान को उठा के minority affairs बना दो? You want a woman, उसको Women and Child Development बना दो. Why? Why aren't you actually asking for Home Minister to be a Muslim?
I totally agree.
We will definitely, when it is concerned with the minority, definitely there has to be a representation from the minority. They understand the nitty-gritty is better.
Shazia, the larger debate is you just don't have any representation, leave alone in the ministry among your MPs. No MP, no Muslim MPs. Shazia Almi.
I think it's such a wonderful point. No, Padmaja, let me come in. Padmaja, let me come in, please.
Sachar committee report which was submitted in
Can I? Yeah, Sachar committee report proves that exactly. Exactly.
There is a Muslim woman spokesperson. Don't silence her and shout over her. Let her speak. Go on. Going by your logic. Let her speak. Yes. Go on, Shazia.
Yes. Now that the preceding gentleman mentioned Sachar committee report, which just goes on to say that all the states which were ruled by the so-called secular parties which espouse the cause of Muslims did precious little for Muslims in terms of all socio-economic indices. And I can go on and on about figures. But I'm very happy to hear this debate, Padmaja. And this is such a great blessing. Because now we know that Lalu Prasad Yadav, sir, Faisal Saab, does not understand Muslims. So why should Muslims vote for him? Why should Akhilesh Yadav be the natural and default receiver of votes from Muslims? Because he, as a Yadav or a Hindu, why should he actually get the votes? Why should Arvind Kejriwal just get the votes of all Muslims? Because he is not a Muslim. So you just proved my point correct. One. Two, there was a reason why Nehru, who all of you like very much, and Mahatma Gandhi, who all of you like very much, and various members of the Constituent Assembly that you all, I'm sure, appreciate very much, as do I. There was a reason why there was no separate electorate. There was a reason why there was no separate electorate. And I think there is a member here who was an MP. And I want to ask that MP there, when you take an oath and become a member of parliament, do you work only for Muslims or Yadavs? The person who is from Lalu Prasad Yadav's party or Rabri's party or his Khandan's party.
Okay, wait, before you answer that, let me bring in Professor Manojit Mandal, and here's some food for thought, Syed Faisal Ali. Since you started your argument by saying that, you know, at least somebody from a minority, if not a Muslim, should have been given the portfolio. In the year 2000, do you know who was the Minority Affairs Minister in Bihar? Who was the Minority Affairs Minister in Bihar in the year 2000? Syed Faisal Ali. Who was the Minority Affairs Minister?
Forget about. I am asking you one simple question.
No, sir, answer the question. Who was the Minority Affairs Minister in Bihar in the year 2000? It was Rabdi Devi. Rabdi Devi ji kept the portfolio for herself, and today you are sitting here and saying कि एक मुसलमान नहीं मिला इनको minority affairs के लिए, एक minority मिला, जैन मिल जाता, पारसी मिल जाता, सिख मिल जाता, राबड़ी देवी तो कुछ भी नहीं है इनमें से. Neither is she Jain, nor is she Parsi, nor is she Sikh, nor is she Muslim. 2000 में वो minority affairs minister थी. चलिए let's go to Manojit Mandal, in the year 2016, Mamata Banerjee herself was also Minority Affairs Minister. She kept the portfolio with herself. Why? Couldn't she find somebody to give the portfolio to Manojit Mandal?
सोनिया गांधी जी भारतीय ऐसे बन गई और इसीलिए स्मृति ईरानी जी पारसियों की नुमाइंदगी कर रही हैं.
Professor Mandal.
MOA is Minister of State, but we have no problem. Yeah, but at that point of time, and even now, there is a Minister of State for Minority Affairs who happens to be from minority community. That's not the point. What and who will be made the minority minister of central government, that's exclusively BJP's prerogative. We have no issue with that at all. You know, how BJP will fare with the minorities, Sabka Saath, Sabka Viswas, whether it's a slogan or it's actually happening, people can understand. My point is also very interesting. I mean, when in the fall of the parliament, the Prime Minister of this, Home Minister of this country was insulting Bangladesh as an Islamic state. And for God's sake, for your kind information, there are 3 Hindu ministers in Bangladesh cabinet. 3 Hindu ministers. I am not comparing India with Bangladesh at all, even for a moment. What the BJP will do in this country, how will they go with the minorities of this country? I think people are best judged. We have no issue with that at all. If this is the brand of secularism, good luck to them.
Okay, great. I think that's such a lovely and friendly note to end on, where the Trinamool Congress actually is saying we do not have a problem with some decision that has been taken by the BJP. So on that amicable note, let's call it to an end. Thank you very much, all gentlemen, Shazia Almi, for joining me.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break. Where
managing it. It's if I get global understanding and support, obviously it is of help to me. But this idea that I do a transaction, that I come in one conflict because it will help me in conflict too, that's not how the world works. So a lot of our problems in China have nothing to do with Ukraine, have nothing to do with Russia. They predate it.
at 10. The News Hour at 10. We'll be right back after the break.
The Supreme Court today has validated
Hour at 10.
the findings of the special investigation team that looked into the Gujarat riots of 2002. You represented the SIT in the Supreme Court, which has today given very, very scathing criticism of those who tried to cast aspersions on the SIT's integrity. I want to ask you, Mr. Mukul Rohatgi, was this another attempt to somehow cloud the entire investigation process?
There is no doubt, Navika, that this was a motivated attempt to somehow, as the judgment uses the phrase, keep the pot boiling. And in fact, it was a phrase used by me, and the judgment acknowledges that. See, the idea was that to somehow make an attack on high functionaries in various services. The court has held that this was not only motivated, but this was an abuse of the legal process, because I had argued that this is not really Zakia Jafri who is protesting and keeping this kind of thing boiling, but it was some motivated forces behind her who were using her name, that she was merely a name lender. There were other forces which were behind it to somehow get at the then Chief Minister and other functionaries for their own political or private gains. And the court has validated our stand. And in fact, the SIT has been applauded by the court. It has come out with flying colors for what it did under quote-unquote trying circumstances, and every argument made by me for the SIT has found favor with the court in a thumping judgment of over 450